Hello, everybody, and welcome to Thursday night, 8 o'clock Central Time. It is People in the Boxes, episode 120. So let's go. You might be watching the replay. Looks like there's a couple people in here already. What's up, guys? If you watch the replay, check it out. We've got a lot of stuff we're going to talk about, and we want your input. We want to hear from you. We want to get more perspective. So that's what the show is all about. We will be right back in about 4 minutes, 20 seconds. If you could give us a hand and like that video, share us out with some friends, maybe tag a couple friends. Come and find us over on the Rumble and on X. We'll be right back.
Cozy room where the lights are dim sits Waylon the farmer with a heart full of whim. He's not tilling fields or sowing seeds, but planting thoughts, fulfilling needs. People in the Boxes, that's the name of the show, where voices unite, let their stories flow. From all walks of life, they come to share their hopes, their dreams, their daily fare. With headphones on and mic in hand, Waylon invites listeners from across the land. He says, come on in, don't be shy. Let's talk about life, let's give it a try. People in the Boxes, dogmies unfold. In this podcast, hearts are bold, breaking down walls with every word. In Waylon's world, everyone's heard. Everyone's heard. From the city slicker to the country lass, every episode a new class, discussing love, work, and everything in between. Waylon's voice, the perfect scene. He cultivates thoughts like crops and rows, his podcast a garden where wisdom grows. No matter the topic, big or small, Waylon's there connecting us all. So tune into People in the Boxes tonight, where every voice shines and every story's right. With Waylon the farmer, indoors we might be, but through this podcast we're all free. This song for Waylon, for bringing us together in a world where we all seek to connect forever. People in the Boxes, tune in, you'll find a community where every voice is intertwined. If you cultivate thoughts like crops and rows, every episode a new class, discussing love, work, and every word. In Waylon's world, everyone's heard. From the city slicker to the country lass, every episode a new class, discussing love, work, and everything in between. Waylon's voice, the perfect scene. From the city slicker to the country lass, every episode a new class, discussing love, work, and everything in between. Waylon's voice, the perfect scene. He cultivates thoughts like crops and rows, his podcast a garden where wisdom grows. No matter the topic, big or small, Waylon's there connecting us all. So tune in to People in the Boxes tonight, where every voice shines and every story's right. With Waylon the farmer, indoors we might be, but through this podcast we're all free. This song for Waylon, for bringing us together in a world where we all seek to connect forever. With Waylon the Boxes, tune in, you'll find a community where every voice is intertwined.
All right, everybody. Hello, hello, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to People in the Boxes, episode 120, Thursday night, 8 o'clock Central Time. It is November 14th, 2024. A very special eve for me. It is the Indoor Farmer birthday eve tonight. So, I guess we could have just had a whole special episode on my birthday. That could have been great. We just talk about me and everything. But otherwise, other than that, let's just have a good episode about current events tonight. We're going to talk about everything that's been going on, good, bad, and ugly, and indifferent. So bring it in, guys. Hit that like button. Share us out. We will do a giveaway of a game night ticket, of course, and another spin for our subscribers in the Indoor Farmer community. So if you haven't signed up yet for my birthday, that's the only thing I'm asking for. Is if you have watched my show, if you've followed me on social media, if you thought there was anything worth watching me for, there was something funny or entertaining or maybe informative here and there. So if you did, go sign up. Go log in on the indoorfarmer.locals.com. It's $2 a month, and it gets you in on all sorts of things that are worth way more than $2 a month, and we're not going to waste time blathering about it. But we do have Kim back with us. Looks like she's feeling a little better, but buried in her house with her new house, got all kinds of plants and all kinds of plans. So let me ask you, Kim, are you just sort of like doing what you can when you can, or are you trying to plan out? Because I'm bad with plans. I'm not good with like lists and plans. Are you trying to decide like a room at a time, or are you trying to just kind of whatever you can get done? That's kind of how I would do it. Just do,
I have
whatever I can.
priorities. It's priorities, and I have to balance everything because I work,
Right.
so I get off of work and I come home usually. And right now, my priority is getting my garage somewhat organized so that I can, I have a 10 by 10 storage with all my Christmas, it's full with all my Christmas and all kinds of shit in there. So I need to rent a U-Haul this weekend, and I need to bring all of that stuff into the garage so I can let go of that shed. I have a deadline because I'm having surgery.
Oh, you got one of the storage sheds. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, I rented it because I was running out of room in my garage at my old house to uh, pack boxes and get them out of the house. I have a, I can't stand clutter. It drives me
Happy
crazy.
710, everybody. Sorry, Kim. Go ahead. You can't. I can't stand clutter either, but that's about the only problem I have. Some people are like dirty, but clutter to me isn't quite necessarily as bad, but it is annoying. Go ahead. Sorry. Happy 710. We're gonna do a dab right now, guys. Cheers.
Well, it just felt like inside of that house, I had boxes stacked all over the place, and I felt like Hoarder's Extreme Edition, just there's boxes and boxes and boxes everywhere. So I rented the storage unit so that I could shift some of that stuff that was in the house so that I could at least move around and I wasn't freaking out and, stuff. So,
Gotta have some space to move. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, John Doe, congrats. You did win, man. In order to receive your prize, you just have to sign in and log in over at the indoorfarmer.locals.com. Let me know when you've got your login and what your name is over there, brother. I'm not staying tonight. Okay, that's all right, Rose. Hard day with medical stuff. Ooh, operating for the skin cancer. Goodness, yeah, you're definitely gonna be low on energy from all of that. Even just the waiting and the being at doctor's offices can be so draining. So I do wish you the best, Rose. Hopefully everything goes very smoothly. Thank you, Alexandria. Hashtag PITB. Yes, yes. What's up, JC? Alan, how are you? I hope everyone had a wonderful day. Cheers. Well, cheers to you, my friend. You like the shirt? You like this shirt? I decided to wear my shirt. It says, I'm not arguing. I'm just explaining to you why I'm right. Okay. That's it. Like, it's just let me finish my explanation. You'll know why I'm right. Enjoy your sour diesel. A friend of mine grew. Okay. Got some sour D, Allen. Got you, bro. Oh, I forgot the dab. Um, I have discovered something this week. We'll talk about, as you guys know, some of you have been watching the show a while, 120 episodes. The last few months, we've been doing a current events episode once a month, and that's what tonight's all about. And I do look at some stories. We look at some major viral things happening, but also we talk about what's happening in our own lives. Such as Kim buying a house, having a house built, which is a different thing altogether, and then having it, having all buried with all your stuff in there, and then you got to try to go to work. So yeah, I could see that being pretty stressful right now. And for me, I just got a vehicle, and that's been kind of crazy because you know that whole process was annoying in many ways. Finally made a decision. Not the happiest about the decision, but it's not bad either. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Elisa? Elisa, come on up. Anybody? I forget this part, but if y'all want to come up, we are always looking for more people to pop up and talk about what's going on, or the topic at least, and share your experience. So I want to pin that actually. So obviously, last week we talked about politics, and believe it or not, we actually had a really good conversation, a good episode. We had some different opinions in the comments. It went really well. Shouts out to Jay Frost for hanging out with Red Six and myself, and we had a bunch of other people pop up later in the show. And I kind of have a feeling that will happen again tonight. As the show goes on, we seem to pick up people as we go. So we're going to get into some things, and we'll read some stuff while we're waiting for everyone else's opinions to come in. Remember where you got that? Oh, I don't remember. Did you get this for me, or did someone in your family buy this for me? I do not remember. Apologies. Rendra, thank you for popping in on the Rumble. Shouts out to Rumble. I've jumped up a few followers on Rumble and on X. I can tell you that Facebook, every time I go up, I come back down. Facebook, I don't know if they're doing it to me or what, but I'm growing on X and Rumble. So shouts out to
There's
any of
some
you that have
kind
been.
I came in from the garage, the TV was on, and they were saying that something about X had some kind of a mass exodus of people today.
Oh yeah, a lot of Democrats are leaving X now.
Um,
I don't know. It's some kind of a. So we're gonna look at that too. There's a video of a compilation of women shaving their heads on X. I think it's this is the point. This is the point I made this show for, is to point out and to work on this issue where people run away or go straight to low blows. And this is on both sides. I see plenty of low blows on both sides, and that's the issue here, is that we can't talk about the facts, so to speak, if we just talk past each other. And last week I wanted to bring up, and I did talk about it a little bit, but I wanted to talk about it more, that a lot of times when you have a disagreement with somebody, it's not because you're disagreeing on the quote facts. It's because one so to speak side of the argument, one person, and say out of two people arguing, one person wants something different to happen at the end of the race, or at the end of the whatever the issue they're talking about, or I guess a different outcome of an issue. And so if you can't, what a lot of times you have to do is, okay, well, hold on, what is it that you would like to see happen at the end of this? And it's like, oh, hold on, we're on totally different planets on what we want to see happen. So therefore, we would never agree on, what's going on if we both think we want something different. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm rambling, and I'm holding this dab. I want to hit it. Let's hit it. Cheers, everybody. Okay, I see what you're saying there, Lisa May. Says once people show their true colors and act like narcissists. Well, she says there's nothing more to talk about. Well, showing true colors and acting like narcissists are both kind of subjective things. You could list things that they're doing to say, oh, look, they're narcissistic. but there's also a lot of crossover between narcissism and like confidence or like where you think that you're right. And I don't like narcissists, but sometimes narcissists are right. you know but I think I know what you're saying, and I agree. Like once you find a point where you're just not going to, there's no reason to talk to someone anymore, I think that's when it's healthy to walk away sometimes. You know what I mean? Am I wrong? Well, I will man up and say my bad. Yeah, well, that's exactly the thing, Billy. Is people don't realize the virtue in saying, "Oh, I must be wrong about this," or teach me something here, show me where you got it from. There's a virtue in being humiliate or having humility, not being humiliated. I don't know if that's virtuous, but
I think it's called hubris.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, I know narcissists who are really, really good at what they do, just very annoying to work with and to deal with. So, I mean, there is that. Like, it's not a sin to be narcissistic, but it can be a really pain in the ass when you're trying to work with someone like that. So again, I fall back to that's kind of an opinion thing where it just depends on how you're acting with somebody, whether that really matters. Oh, this person thinks very highly of themselves. Okay, well, I can handle that. I don't have to feed into it. You know what I mean? What's up, Margaret? I'm going to pull up some current stories in here in a minute. I definitely want to look at that video of the women shaving their heads because they're worried about a look. And don't take it the wrong way. I'm pretty quiet about political views on Facebook. I'll talk about philosophical things, and I will talk about, unless I'm commenting on someone's post, but I'm not out there posting a bunch of things, a bunch of nasty things, which I see on both sides. So for me to, especially on this show, I mean, I bring it right out here. Like we put the link out, guys, come on up and talk about it. So I've made a post today that kind of went a little crazy, and a lot of people got pretty angry and stuff. And but a lot of times the people who are angry are kind of like making all these sort of jumping to conclusions, and they're sort of making. And I see that happen with you, Kim. And it's like if you're going to discount some of what I said, then it's going to be hard to like try to figure out where we meet. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Uh, well, like some people today had posted things about you know some of the fear being real, that people are afraid for real reasons, and that's fine. But part of my post said the other half of it was said I said all these people who are so afraid, but the second half was, but yet they're just fine with how things have been for the last few years. So like they don't see the problems that maybe I saw, but they see other problems that I don't see. And so if we're both on two different books of problems, then it's like very difficult to sort of come together there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. You just said something about me, and I was
No, I just meant like a
did I
person in
say
general.
something?
Yeah, not
Like,
you. No, this was a few people had kind of started to allude like, yada yada yada. They listed all these problems and stuff, and it's like, first of all, an anecdotal story doesn't move me a lot because when we use anecdotes, we discount a whole lot of data, you know? And I, for one, realize that a lot of times that may put myself at a disadvantage for a lot of reasons. If I don't always just look at my own experiences and only go by those and only want the best outcome for me, then I can look at more of the macro of things, and I can look at what might be going on a larger scale and not just affecting me directly. And that's kind of how I look at a lot of things, the macro and the micro. I try to look at them both. And anyway, I know I'm being vague, but I'm just trying to clean this real quick so we can pull up some real stories. See a lot of people already commenting. I see you guys out there. Appreciate that. JC, too many people are set in their own ways, mainly projected on them by their parents. It's hard to see anyone else's side when they refuse to acknowledge that they could be more than one right way. Yeah, no, that's the thing. The prison of two ideas. There are a lot of things that some people will hold in their mind and say, if this is true, then that must be true. And a lot of times it's two separate things. You know what I mean? Like let's just be specific about it. If it's true that there are, well, I don't even have to be that specific. Let's pick either political party and say, if it's true that there are bad people in that party, that doesn't mean that it's true that the entire party is bad. And a lot of people will conflate these things a lot of times, and they just kind of go straight to the macro, that like the maybe it's not macro, but look at the entire party, or maybe trying to put everybody in a box, and that's what part of the name of the show was all about. People in the boxes is a play on words, where we put ourselves in boxes just for the show, but it's also kind of the reason that it's a play on words is because we always talk about not wanting to be put into boxes, right? Don't put me in some kind of box of whatever thinking. And everybody says that, but we still do it, right? We still put people, put them in that category because they thought this and they
Well,
made this
it's
comment.
human nature to categorize things.
It is, and I like to point that out too. That discrimination is a natural thing,
Yeah.
even if it's done in for evil, sometimes, or even a lot of times, or whatever, however many times. Rose, what's up? It's censorship. Yeah, censorship is real when you censor yourself, not for what you say, but what you take in, the information that you allow in. That is self-censoring as well. And if you can't just let information in freely and discern from that, and maybe even strengthen your own ideas or change your own opinions. I mean, I was talking to people today, and I said, yeah, well, throw me some information. Let's see what you got. Because if you can't easily look it up, it's probably something that you should do more research on. And I have that happen to me all the time. I say, okay, well, I don't really know where I found that information, so I try not to step up and say, hey, this is and this and this is the facts. Here's the facts, unless I can tell you where I got it or pull it up or whatever. And that's one reason the show. That's what we try to do here too. Is I give you the opportunity to let's pull it up. Let's show it. Let's look at it. Yes, I was talking about people that are posting about a whole bunch of things that are not necessarily uh, proven yet. Let's see what Matthew. Okay, Matthew's one of them that we had a conversation back and forth today. Let's see. All the people so afraid right now, yes, but have felt completely fine through the last few years. Blows my mind. It does. They're secretly just mad. Well, some of them definitely are really mad, and they want to say that they're afraid for people's rights or whatever, but they're very mad, and they are pushing fear. Okay, so all that was good. Take a little responsibility. Yeah, say, hey, maybe like maybe be a little introspective. Maybe say some of the stuff I believe might possibly not be true. No one is secretly mad if they fear losing their insurance. No, there are people that are secretly just mad about the whole back and forth team thing. Yes, we can both be right about this. It was very condescending to someone to have genuine fear, which is very real. So I haven't seen any people that are posting about their specific situation where hey, I might lose my insurance or whatever. What I'm seeing are people that are posting all the talking points, wanting everyone to be afraid. It's just that's been happening, and that's fine. You might actually believe it. Maybe you're not doing it just to fear monger. Okay, I'll give you that. But there are some people that I know are fairly well off. They don't have these problems, but they are trying to push that, hey, I should be afraid of this and this and this. And it happens on both sides. But right this minute, I'm seeing a ton of posts that are in this vein. And that's why I made that post, because I see people that I know aren't suffering, but they are taught, they are literally, there was okay. there was a story of a family that killed the family, shot the dad and mom killed the kids and themselves because they're so afraid of the boogeyman Trump. It's like, well, if you can't just let it play out and see, like if you're really that if you're really that right about everything that every worry that you have, why is it that they're on here trying to convince us and still, like, what is it that what is it that I'm not seeing the post that you're talking about, Matt. I'm not seeing people who are laying out the case as to why they will be hurt by this. What I'm seeing is a whole bunch of talking points, and that's just me, that's what I'm seeing. So, but I think we can both be right about this. There might be some people who are, but I've also brought this up. I get money from the government because I'm a veteran, because of disability, all this. So I know that there is a chance that I may lose my benefits. We all might suffer soon not because Donald Trump, but because this country has been run into the ground for 50 years or more. And if we can't all agree on that, then we're on different pages, because we have had major problems for many years now. What's up, Red Six? Sorry, man. We're getting into it. How you doing, bro? You're muted. Oh, there you go.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How you doing, Kim? It's good to see you.
Thanks. I'm good.
Good.
Recovering. One foot
Yeah.
with the other.
That's good. That's good.
Thanks for asking.
So,
I agree that this country has been, I don't want to say run into the ground. I think that's melodramatic. I think that there's been a lot of issues that have not been dealt with for a long time that have been problematic. And part of the reason why they haven't been dealt with is because to deal with them in the way that needs to be dealt is political suicide for whoever it is that broaches those subjects, like Social Security, immigration, and such. Our immigration system is not broken. It actually works really well. But what is broken is the refugee part of it. And that's been since the 70s. And it's political suicide for whoever it is that tries to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I've sat here and I've watched that. I've watched the news since I was a little kid. It always fascinated me watching all of these different tidbits of information from all over the place. I can still, as a very young child, I still have images in my head of different things that I've seen. And immigration is one of those. And, I live right here on the border. I literally, I can look out my window facing southwest and I can see Mexico from my house. And I just, I live here, so I know, and I've lived here all my life. And I get really frustrated because I get tired of people demonizing Mexicans.
I don't think that's happening as much anymore. People know that. Well,
yes,
hold on. One
yeah.
of the let's talk the right wing talking point of, and this is a true thing, that over 150 different countries are coming over the border. So we all know this now. I think that cat's out of the bag. It's not a Mexican directly issue.
Well, the current situation, the crisis that we find ourselves in, is that we have people that are claiming refugee status.
Yeah.
And that part of our immigration system is broken, and it's been broken. And the way that they fixed it traditionally, in my lifetime at least, has been through presidential executive orders. Well, first of all, executive orders are not constitutional. You will not find them anywhere in the fucking Constitution. But nobody's ever challenged them because just the way that the whole premise of them is couched. So, when you have a president that leaves office, then whatever policy they bring in dies the minute that they leave office, and it leaves it up to the next president to figure out how to deal with. And so you have the smorgasbord way of dealing with all this bullshit.
It really is, though, the fact that politicians are spineless because they're worried about the rest of their career. And so, look, I get it. I really do. I get that people have this like really real seething hate for Trump, but you have to at least admit that that part of it is kind of intriguing, to say the least, that he may come in and just flip the card table. You know what next term, or what deal, like what job at, like, big company that a lot of politicians do. Like, Trump's not worried about the next move. Like, he's actually, like, he is pretty old, right? But I think he's fairly spry for his age, but I don't think we need to have old ass presidents so much anymore. We need to figure out a way around that. But either way, my point is, like, he doesn't give a fuck anymore. And so for some of us have been frustrated for a long time and seen these things going on. That's a breath of fresh. I keep saying that, breath of fresh air, a breath of fresh air, a breath air. But that part alone is the part that some people are just like, you know what? Let's see what he can do, kind of thing. Like, he can't do any worse, but people think for sure he can do worse. I don't know, guys. We have had people almost like their entire lives in the government, like from their teens, their upper teens, and like just been entrenched, man. It's crazy. It's rotted out to that core.
Well, I don't necessarily think that having long-time leadership in our government is a bad thing. I
Touche.
think that's bad because we need people that know how to run the government. We need people that have those connections worldwide, to the different
I feel that, Matthew.
committees that they sit on and that they chair. And, you don't want to get rid of that knowledge. You want a stable government. But there are downsides to that, like the corruption. And, we have one of the biggest downfalls of a democracy is corruption, and you have to control for the corruption. And, political parties have pandered to voters for a long time. I know that I've noticed it since I've been voting. They pander to people. Your rights, you deserve, whatever. And
You
it's
deserve more. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to you.
And, you're politician, you vote people based on what you want. Well, okay, that's great. But the thing is that you have to also vote for what's best for the country. And sometimes my self-interest isn't what's best for the country. You know what I mean? So you get people who vote in their self-interest, let's say welfare, for example. So you have, this cadre of voters out there who...
Special interest group, right?
Well, not necessarily a special interest group, but those people are going to vote their interests. So they're going to vote for the people that are going to keep the welfare checks flowing, because that's what they depend on in their livelihood. Same with military. Military people typically vote Republican or conservative because because the Conservative Party has always been the war machine. When you look
at isn't that crazy how that shifts? But go ahead.
Yeah, it is. I don't know, but
it's the Uniparty. They've always been working, like, that's what we're finding out, is that the Uniparty has been working together. One, like, good cop got bad cop, back and forth, and they switch roles all the time just to keep us in wars.
But they've been doing that forever and ever and ever. I mean, if you look back in history,
in the china shop.
The Republican Party back during Civil War, was not a conservative party.
Well, conservative didn't mean
Very, very
anything
different.
at that
Well,
time.
no, yes, it did. Conservatives have always been conservatives. They were the anti-federalists.
Conservative might
And
mean something slightly different nowadays. That's for sure.
yes, it does. I agree with you on that. But still, those were the conservatives. So,
I did have someone that was really worried about Christianity today. With this thing called Christian nationalism.
yeah, Christian nationalism has been an issue for a long time.
I'm more worried about Scientology than I am Christian nationalism.
Do you even know what Christian nationalism is? Do you know what
Yeah, it's almost
nationalism is?
exactly what it says.
Do you know what nationalism is?
Yeah, it's the thing
Very
that some
dangerous.
people want to be afraid of, but other people want to say, hey, we should care about our own country. So people, it means something different to different people. It doesn't mean Nazi. It doesn't mean Hitler. It doesn't mean, hey, we want to be part of the Reich or whatever. Like that has nothing to do with nationalism. Look into like Hungary, where they closed their borders and they made sure that they took care of themselves, and now they're doing really well. They didn't have this whole thing in Europe where all of these refugees like tore through so many countries over there that just kind of were allowed in because you have to be nice, and then boom, now they're having all these problems. Like that's a real thing. And so nationalism means America first. Now if we can't get behind that, I don't know what to say, because it doesn't mean everyone else last. It just means so you're telling me that nationalism's a bad thing?
Nationalism in and of itself is a bad thing.
So what should we call it? Is patriotism still bad according to the left?
Patriotism, it's different. Nationalism, I'm so tired. I woke up at 2 o'clock this morning with the song Zombie playing over and over in my head, and I couldn't go back to sleep. So my brain is defunct.
Yeah, I
But,
heard it's been an old thing for sure. What's up, Michael Black?
but, nationalism in and of itself is not a good thing, because it has a particular agenda.
Which is?
Well, it just depends on what's
Depends on who
national.
you talk to, on what do you think they think the agenda is.
No, nationalists have agendas,
Got some background.
but it just depends on what kind of nationalism it is as to what their agenda is.
Nationalism is the new boogeyman past racism, and then they went to white supremacists. Now it's
no. Nationalism is a very old term.
Yeah, but it's the new buzz phrase.
Well, yeah,
Very old term, but no one was
there's
talking
movement
about it until
going on.
suddenly. It's another fear tactic. It's an old term. Why is it such a thing now that we're so worried about?
It's always been a thing.
Well, yeah, but people are like,
one of the reasons why, and you're not old enough to probably to understand this particular thing, but I grew up under the Cold War. Ouch, I have a cramp in my leg. I grew up during the Cold War, towards the end of it, and one of the things about Russians, and I will never trust Russia. Like, I was in the military at the end of the Cold War, or through the end of the Cold War, and I will never trust Russians. I don't have a
can't trust each other.
Huh?
Can't trust each other. Who cares about Russia?
I do not trust Russians. Like, we have a lot of Russians or people from the former Soviet bloc that live here in this country. I don't trust them. It's not that I dislike them. I don't feel particularly prejudiced against them, but they're intensely nationalistic, and it all goes back to Mother Russia, and that's where their allegiance is at. So, nationalism is not a new invention, and it's not something that's ever really been forgotten. It just may not necessarily be in people's consciousness to think about in those terms. But nationalism in and of itself is a dangerous thing.
Slash what, Rose? Slash it. The real Republicans, Rose. Don't tell me you like the rhinos and the GOP that's been uniparty for so many years, like Mitch McConnell or
I don't know what you mean by a rhino, and I don't know what you mean
You know what
by
rhinos are.
a uniparty. Like those terms are not familiar to me. What do you mean by that?
Red Six, you want to take this one?
I'm not real sure.
You know about the uniparty? The uniparty is a term that we've started using that has to do with the fact that for many years the Republicans and Democrats worked together, backroom handshake deals. Like a lot of these new Republicans that have come in, like the wackadoo ones that I like some of them, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a crazy bitch, but man, she comes in with some, some interesting stuff. But the point is, they are they are outing and whistleblowing that you go into Congress on either side, and they go to like these days where there's a vote on the floor or something. Hardly anyone shows up. Yays and nays. Like there's like five people in the audience. Like they are pointing out that our government's not working for us. Like not what I mean is I don't mean that figuratively. I mean that literally. Like they barely are there. Like they're just working backroom deals with their
That even goes down to
special interest group.
state level
What's that?
governments too, though. That's not just a federal problem.
What did you say? You broke up.
That's a state level issue too. They're having
Oh,
big
yeah.
problems with that.
Oh,
That's
for sure.
not a federal problem.
Power in general. Like these are
Well-
philosophical things that we've known for a long
think
time.
some of that kind of falls back on something you mentioned earlier with these lifetimers. You know what I mean? You kind of get in there, you get comfortable, you realize, well, it doesn't really matter what I do while I'm here. I'm still going to get voted in 2 years, 4 years, however long they're running for. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast in some places now.
Matthew, I watched her on an interview on Timcast IRL where they brought it up and we're talking about the fact that they call them, there's a group of people, what is it called, the Mises Caucus, the Libertarians are kind of like wild cards in Congress, and they talk about it all the time how they're forcing people to come back to the floor to vote. Forget how it was. I forget the details, but there's some kind of way where they can try to force that. But what was the other term again? I'm sorry. Uniparty, and there's something else you asked me about.
I don't know, whatever it is that you're calling that stuff. It's like I'm not familiar with those terms. So I just feel
Uniparty.
like there's
People-
a lot of corruption in our government, and like I
Right.
said, in a democracy, you have to control for that. That's the biggest
That's
weakness.
us. We are the control for that. We're
But
supposed.
we're not. But we're not
That's what
controlling
MAGA
it.
was all about.
Because I don't believe that. I disagree.
You don't think there's anybody in the MAGA movement that just thought that we need to take back the control of the way things are being run in our government? Like that's the Tea Party movement. That's literally the extension of Tea Party. Trump he just became the battering ram that people wanted to use. More moderate Republicans. The Republicans that have just been pissing down our backs for years, that just basically roll over and take it. They act like who is it that plays against the Globetrotters that just loses all the time? Yeah, that's been the Republicans for a very long time. They just take it on the chin. They just do whatever they're supposed to do to make it seem like there might be some kind of a back and forth between them. It's just been smoke and mirrors since as far as I can tell. George Bush, he's one of these, lifetime, royalty politicians, and there are a whole bunch of them are, and they just, as long as they can pass the mantle on, they're okay with just running the budget up, having more wars. Oh, you need another war? Okay, let's have it. Where at? Let's go. Like they're just all about the endless wars. We talk about the phrase "forever wars." That's a pretty known thing. Anyway, we're not really on the topic per se, but we are at the same time, I guess, because a lot of things are happening and it's a lot of politics. Let's just read some of these headlines here. This is from October. There's no new headlines. Adam Schiff calls for censorship of social media ahead of election. Let's see. That's not.
I don't like headlines because they're sensationalized.
You're right.
And then when you read what is actually in the body of the article. It's like, it's
We're gonna read
ridiculous.
some.
Most people don't look beyond the headlines, and so it really bothers me to see headlines.
That's why I want to. We'll find something to check out. Let's see. That's November 14th. Okay, it's today. Nancy Pelosi files for re-election at 84 years old. Wow. See, that one's pretty. Like, that's not really sensational. Like, I don't. We even don't even need to read that. Really, Like, I get it. She's filing. Let's see. November 14th. Oh yeah. Did you guys hear about the FEMA worker? Okay. Now I'm remembering some things that were happening. Did you hear about FEMA sending out a notice to their employees that were in North Carolina to skip over Trump supporter houses?
I
Do
think
we
they
think
did the
that's okay?
same in Florida too, weren't they?
Does that seem okay just because we don't like the Tea Party or MAGA to just
No,
go, oh,
I'd like to see the proof of that.
did that really happen? And then FEMA fired the person over
They
it. You
fired
don't think
him.
that, like, that's proof enough?
Yeah, but I don't, it
You
makes
don't
it
believe
seem
it?
like but the
It
whole
happened.
conversation around that is like, it makes it seem like FEMA is behind that. And you may have people that work in FEMA that do stuff like that, but that's not a
Well, that's why they fired the person. But
wide
what
thing.
about all the employees that did it? That did what they were told? Like, all of them should be fired. Like, that's something that I don't care if it comes from your boss. Like, right, that's messed up. They did do it. They marked it as couldn't enter. It
Yeah,
says
that
searching
I
hit
don't know
homes that
about,
Trump
but
signs were
it's
skipped
just
because of
like,
safety precautions.
it's just like you get a teacher that, is accused of molesting students, and then suddenly it's like all teachers are child molesters or whatever. And it's like, oh my God.
All right, but can we at least agree that this was a bad thing that happened?
Well, yeah, if it's true, it
Okay,
sure
it is
is.
true. I mean, it literally it happened. There's multiple stories on first stories that broke when it happened, and now stories of the person being fired who sent the memo. Like, that's like, how else how much more proof do you need?
Well,
Um,
if she did that, then shame on her, and yeah, she deserves to be fired, and whatever else. You don't fucking do that shit to people. That's not right. People need help.
her
And
name's
that's what
Marnie
FEMA's there
Washington.
for.
Says the FEMA worker who was removed from her position after it was revealed that she told hurricane relief workers to skip homes in Florida in the wake of Milton that had Trump signs. Told Fox News' Trace Gallagher that workers were allowed to skip these homes if they felt uncomfortable. So, or if the home had two dogs. Washington said the order to skip these homes came from someone else had it. When I first reported to Florida, I was already on another team. I was there as a specialist. This was the culture. This was the culture. They were already avoiding these homes based on community trends from hostile political encounters.
Well, I could
It has
totally
nothing
see
to
not
do with
wanting to go to
hurricane
somebody's house if they were fucking gonna be hostile towards you too. I remember when I first got out of the military, I took a job, and it was going door to door doing, God, what is that book called? Damn, I can't remember, but it was just like verifying people's addresses and stuff. And sometimes it's kind of scary going to some of those places because people get hostile. They don't want to be bothered. They're suspicious, whatever. So I don't know. Like, I'd need more information before I like
Well, Sean has a good point here.
hard on somebody.
They did have this fear. There was a big story about the land just being wanting, like, they wanted to take the land. BlackRock having some kind of I don't know if that was true, but the story was they had some kind of contract on having that land for, what was it,
Yeah,
lithium
there's
or
a lot
something
of
like that.
conspiracy. It's
Yeah.
all this
So
conspiracy
that
shit.
might have sparked people to get, worried about FEMA. But Matthew, I honestly don't remember this story, man. If you want to, if someone can send it, when was this? Several years back. What did he withhold it, or did he just
Oh yeah,
threaten to withhold it?
yes, he did. I remember that. That
So he
was,
withheld it, or he threatened to withhold it.
I don't remember exactly, but I remember that scandal because I remember him saying something about
Widespread.
blaming like the Forest Service because they weren't back burning or something like that.
Okay, I'd definitely be interested to check it out. Get a different job if you can't do the job. Yeah, you are pretending to be open-minded but showing biased articles. You are coming into my show and just throwing out allegations. Show me a regular article then. I got the link pinned, Brandon. You are coming into my show accusing me of things without giving me anything else to go on. What's biased articles? What's biased about this? Let's go. Like, tell me what you give me some more than what just an allegation. Give me some more than just coming and talking smack.
There's an article here. It's Miami Herald. The woman, I guess, spoke out stating that she was avoiding those houses not for political reasons, but because of hostility from the homeowners.
Yeah, but she's saying that's widespread. So, like, how many are they skipping that weren't going to be hostile? You know, that's not a reason to skip. That's a reason to ask, and then, oh, okay, walk away. Oh, sorry, never mind. You know,
I mean, how? I mean,
and
what's
and and
what's hostile? You know what I mean? Where do you know where like what she's talking about when she's saying that they're being hostile?
Yeah, I don't know.
right,
Hard
that's the
to
other thing.
say
That's
because
subjective.
people. I don't know.
I don't know.
California went mostly red, Rose. A lot of counties in California went red,
That's
actually.
one state I was surprised to see how red it was.
Yeah, just in case everyone wasn't aware, like there definitely was a big shift.
Huge.
In the wake of the revelation, Washington was fired from her position with FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell, saying in the statement, recently one FEMA employee departed from these values to advise her supervisor assistant team to not go to homes with yard signs supporting President-elect Trump. This is a clear violation of FEMA's core values and principles to help people regardless of their political affiliation. This was reprehensible. Washington replied, and I want to stop like bringing up Trump in this. Like, has nothing to like. What's the other side? Trump versus this FEMA employee? Like, that's not what we're talking about here. Like, I didn't bring up Kamala. Like, I'm not talking about Kamala. I'm just talking about this trend where everybody wants to hate on Trump, but really they're hating on anybody that disagrees with them, meaning people that voted for Trump. And that's where the disconnect comes in, where I'm talking about something that's bad that happened, and yes, they happen to be voting for Trump, but it has nothing to do with the politicians at the top. This is us. This is us against each other. This is us with each other. Like we can forget those people that are career politicians and talk to each other again. You know, I don't know if I want to read the whole thing,
Well,
but I mean,
people have turned politics into like us, like they do with sports, like football teams and stuff. And it's like, oh, I don't know, it drives me crazy.
I like the idea that people talk about politicians should wear like their sponsor jackets with all their endorsements on them and stuff like that. Because you're right, it is. It's heavily led by companies, brands, wealthy people. But I think it's probably been like that for a long, long time.
so this is I guess, different topic here. It says California town to approve $6 million in reparations for Black Latino residents whose families' homes were destroyed for commercial deployment or development. I'm sorry, 60 years ago. That's a whole different. That's interesting. There must have been some kind of a developing deal that destroyed a bunch of homes. I guess
Well,
it's a
it's
news
just
story,
like
but
we have a community in El Paso. I can't
it's not really
remember
a news
the name of
story.
it, but it's an old historic community, and it's a Latino community, and they were going to destroy all the historic buildings and houses and places where these people live to repurpose it. I can't remember for what reason. Either they were going to build like a
Strip mall.
highway or something, not a strip mall. It was something big. It was either like they were going to like build a highway over it or something. And the people there, they rose up against it. But, traditionally, a lot of these communities of people of color, have lost their communities. Like that whole, I can't remember the name of it.
Veterans Affairs Secretary. Go ahead. Sorry.
It was maybe in Arkansas or one of those states over that way, where like they came out on all the black people and they burned their homes and razed their just destroyed everything, you know. And these were all middle class black people that they did this to. So I don't know. There's just a lot of shady shit that's happened to, communities of people of color in this country. And one
Yeah.
of the reasons why I'm a very strong supporter of civil rights. And, when the Black Lives Matter first came out, I was like, oh, yeah, Black Lives Matter. I was all aboard. And then I did a seminar. I sat through a seminar on it and I started listening to things. And I was like, oh, I don't think this
Wait a
this
minute.
fit my
Yeah.
values. This doesn't fit my values. And I started looking into their platform, and there were things in their platform that I just couldn't agree with. So I'm very much a supporter of people's civil rights. Especially African Americans have just been treated so terribly in the in our country. And but there's certain things in that Black Lives Matter that I just couldn't
Yeah.
support.
I
It just
agree.
I didn't find value in it.
What article, Joe? Joe Kelly? What are you talking about? Let's step out of the news for a second. Red Six, are you doing anything? What's going on with you lately?
Terrible timing.
Sorry.
I mean, we got the stuff going on over at Grow Up, the Tent for Teddy's thing. I don't know if you looked that up.
Yes, the tent for teddies. Yeah, you were telling me about it.
So we kind of do the, bring in a teddy bear, donate it to the tent. You get a raffle ticket. We take the teddy bears, donate them to a local children's organization, and then draw a ticket for a winner of the tent. So it's real.
That's pretty cool. How big was the tent?
This one for this year is a 2x3 AC Infinity tent.
AC Infinity 2x3. Okay. It's not bad. A little veg tent.
Yeah, especially if you don't have a whole lot of space to grow in.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has large spaces like me or you do to do their stuff in, but even nice drying tent if you want to use it for something like that too. You don't have to. Me personally, I don't actually grow anything. I only have one 3x3 tent that I actually grow a plant in.
Really?
Other than
What
that,
about those plants? You're in the open?
Yep. I just have lights hanging from the ceiling.
Night Rose.
Good night, Rose.
See you, Rose. I maintain the room temperature. So my bedroom has no air ducts in it at all. So it just kind of maintains whatever your normal basement is. The temperature from the lights heat the room up during the day. They cool off at night. And then I run a dehumidifier and a humidifier depending on what it needs. So basically just grow in a lung room. I basically turn the whole room itself into what you would turn your tent atmosphere into.
So, Joe, I'm not sure what article was talking about burning down houses. I think it was the article about they had to tear down houses for some development situation and then it never paid the families that were there or something like that. I don't know if it was a burning or was that you, Kim, that was talking about that?
It's probably me. I think it was in Oklahoma.
What's up, Leslie Cobb? Rose, I think people do. I've heard some good podcasts on the plight of Native Americans. Also, a friend of mine, Jimmy Mead, I haven't talked to in a little while, but he's taught me a lot about
Very good
what
dude.
goes on in that situation.
It was the 1921 Tulsa race riot,
Ah, that's what you were talking
and it
about.
was buried in history for a long time. It's kind of like, have you ever heard of gator baiting?
That sounds like something we should talk about in the after show. Why is there so much background noise here? Every once in a while I talk. Is anyone else hearing that? I'll turn it. No? Anyway, so what's gator baiting?
So gator baiting was a really big practice in the South. Specifically, it was done throughout the South, anywhere that they had alligators, but they used African American babies to bait gators to catch them.
Huh.
Bet you never heard of that.
No, but I mean, we have a lot of fiction that shows how cruel people have been throughout history.
Yeah,
And
there's a
I
lot
don't
of
know, like
very
it may not have even been a situation where that was the best thing to use, but people might have just been being cruel. Either way, like, yeah, and I'm sure there's been stuff like that been happening for a long time. And it still happens today in other countries. People got to realize there are more slaves today than there ever have been.
yeah. Well, we have slavery right here within our boundaries.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's the whole like human trafficking has been a problem that like almost no country can get around. And I think some of that is because of the people in charge being connected in ways where they disappear people and they suicide people. And, Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. And such things, Diddy parties. So I think a lot of these things are, part of the vein of power. Anyway, this wheel here is for the. Actually, we'll do the other spin first. Wait a minute. I can't do either of those. I have to take this back off the screen for a second.
Are you doing anything this weekend, Waylon?
Tomorrow's my birthday in about
Oh,
3 hours.
Happy birthday.
So I'm going to be going to every dispensary that I can possibly find tomorrow. I hear they give you something. They give you a little goodie, something for free on your birthday.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just head to every one of them. And then I'm going to go. What was I going to do this weekend? Oh, the thing that you were talking about, the pool and smoke, or what was it?
The bongs and billiards.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's the pool tournament that we're having this weekend. That'll be going on over at Cook Street. So,
At what time?
it starts at noon. The vendor area will probably be set up from around noon till, I don't know, 3:30, 4 o'clock. It gets dark around 4:30, 4:30 now, so um, we'll be having that closed down before it's dark. Knox is going to be set up there. They'll have some of their stuff. Grow Up Gardening will be there. They'll have a few things. There'll be a couple other little vendors. I'll be there.
You're in Illinois too?
Yep, actually pretty close to Wayland.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the time. What time?
It starts at noon.
Noon. Okay, Saturday.
Yep.
Well, I definitely am looking for something. So it sounds like something that could be a good thing to check out. I'm down.
Yeah.
I got some other errands I got to run tomorrow too, but I should be available Saturday. I'm hoping to
You can
hang
bring a
out.
teddy bear over and throw it in the tent Saturday while you're in town too.
Does it matter how big it is?
No, as long as it's not like a Beanie Baby. You know what I mean? Like teddy bear. It doesn't have
Free
to be.
meals? Free meals on my birthday? I don't know about that. My birthday this month too. Oh, that's awesome, man. A lot of birthdays in November. Oh, by the way, guys, this wheel is for anyone to hit the like button. Share us out if you can. And then also people from the Rumble and from X. I'm going to put on people from Rumble right now. I gotta say, most of us have a pretty good ability to converse. People bringing up good points. I appreciate that on all sides, but don't just come in and accuse me of stuff. Like I couldn't be more open to more opinions and more viewpoints on the show or in the comments. Let's bring it up. Tell me an article, I'll bring it up. But you don't just come in and just because I show what I'm showing. Anyway, we got Brandra, we got Terry, Margaret, Cindy, nobody. So yeah, I put it
Perry.
up. What's that? Perry's on the YouTube. YouTube doesn't like me, so I don't promote the YouTube.
Um,
I gained like 20 followers on X just today. X likes me. Now
I don't
X.
know how on God's green earth this happened, but
Oh,
like all the notifications that I get for X are all friggin' political. And it's like, I don't want to see all that shit and I don't know how to
what do
change it.
you what do you mean? Are they from certain people?
I don't even know. You know how you get notifications at the top of your phone?
Yeah, it's probably people that you're following. You just have to go into who you're following and look through it and pick out people that's all they talk about.
Yeah.
There's plenty of those out there. That's not all I talk about, but I do watch a lot of it. And guys, I watch. Look, I'll throw out names. Like a lot of people just throw out these sort of like you know facts out of nowhere, and it's like this is all. You know what? That's what's happening. Well, I'll tell you where I get my information. Like that's how much more transparent can I be? I watch Timcast IRL, who was a liberal, a Democrat, and now he's voted for Trump. I watch people like Dave Rubin and a guy named Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore is a self-avowed socialist. I watched Joe Rogan. I like the boys over at Geeks and Gamers and Nerdrotic. I watch a little bit of the Quartering. Uh, I get into some spaces on X where there are people, hundreds of people discussing politics or discussing whatever, and there's people on both sides arguing about whatever, and um, I get into conversations with people from all different angles, and that's why I talked about it earlier. You can't necessarily ever agree if one of you likes a different sort of outcome. And what I mean by that is, personally, I like individual freedom. I like smaller government, and other people like the reverse. And so if we're on different pages there, then we're not going to agree, right?
You're an anti-federalist.
Yeah, I like to consider myself a conservative libertarian. I see the value in religion. I see the value in community and church, but I also see the where it's gone wrong, where it's gone bad, where it has corruption as well. That's why I don't really subscribe to any specific religion myself. I have my own specific kind of relationship, if you will. But I see the value in it. Now, I get that a lot of people are worried about the separation of church and state, and I think a lot of people have a misconception of what that means. It really just means that government's not supposed to make special concessions to certain religions over other religions.
Well, what
And
the
like,
fear is if you look back at what founded this country, where, religious persecution is what brought so many groups of people over
oops, I
here.
mean to do that. I mean,
People were
yeah.
being killed. My own family were Puritans, and my great grandfather, his brother, was hanged, drawn, and quartered for his part in the regicide of King Charles, under the Puritan, when the Puritans were running England. And so his brother and, his immediate family fled here to the Plymouth colony. So, that's one of the things that they wanted to avoid, there was no separation of church and state. In fact, monarchs came into their power by divine right. So they
Right,
were
that divine
ordained.
lightning. Yep.
They were ordained by God, so to speak, to be the
We
ruler.
kind of did the same thing in America, just for the country itself, right? We just said, well, we don't have a king, so we'll just say this country is divine, and this country is touched by God, and all this and that. Like the different phrases. What's there's I know there's a
City
phrase
on
I
the
can't
hill.
think of. Say
City on
again.
the city on the hill.
City on the hill.
That all comes from. That's
God.
all
This is God's
puritanical
country.
influence.
This
Yeah,
is
it's
God's
all,
country, right? Say that a
yeah.
lot. So I get
Yeah.
that. I mean, I don't per se think that America is some country that's better than other countries as far as the land, but we do actually have a lot of natural resources here that we could be tapping into, and we just haven't. Cindy Paul, congratulations! You get win a game night ticket.
We're saving.
What's that, Fred?
So we're saving all the goodies.
I guess we're saving them. I don't know. I mean, like, we're going to have to tap into stuff, and it's funny because environmentalists don't like it, but what's the alternative? Getting the stuff from the countries that do it in a much dirtier way, like a much less safe way, like we do. Like almost every country that produces anything that we buy, like oil, is going to do it with way less EPA regulations than we have. At least that's my opinion. Like, I guess, show me where I might be wrong. I'm open to it, but
So what resources do you think that we need to tap into?
precious metals and
So you think we should just tear up all the land?
no, we should just tear up other people's land. Like, what's the difference? Like, you want to just, well, let's keep it elsewhere where we don't see it. Is that what you're saying? Like, I want to not see it. I want it to be happening in.
Why do we need precious metals?
I don't know. Like, what do you think this thing runs on, man? Like,
Well,
what do you
maybe we
think
don't really need these things.
Maybe not.
Things are
Maybe
stuff
not.
we really need.
I'm not seeing a mass exodus of cell phone users.
Well, and you're not going to, because people are fucking addicted to that shit.
Yep.
Self-included.
Now, I know Elon Musk was throwing around, or some people were like asking him if he would ever make a Tesla phone, and he said no. But I don't know. There's not a lot of. So that's the thing
He
that we
doesn't make
don't.
anything. He owns the company and hires people to do the work.
You know what I mean? I'm not talking about him having a little pointed hat on with a little tiny hammer, and he's in the workshop making a phone. Like, like, no. But his resources is about the only way it could be done, because we already know that there's no way that chips can be made in America anywhere close to the prices it's made with the tiny fingers of the kids, of the children that are making it over in Thailand or whatever. And so that conversation needs to happen. Everybody wants to be so mad about America, but yet the entire planet still runs on slavery. Like there's still almost no way to like separate humanity from that act. It's just a thing, man. I don't know. It's insane. And people kind of take turns being the slaves. Like, if we'll have some kind of crazy war at some point. War is inevitable. War is a clean slate thing. War is like a shake up the board and restart the pieces thing. And it's like it's something that I believe is a natural part of human existence. Now, if you take into consideration all these little forever wars that we start in small countries, that's a different story. But like real war that bubbles up, like we call a world war or whatever, like I feel like those are almost inevitable every so often,
Yeah, I think tensions get built up,
but I don't fear it. It's like, look, we all have this life to live. It could be a glorious, insane, amazing thing on the way out. You know what I mean? Who knows? Like, you never know, and that's the beauty of life. That's the beauty of us all not agreeing with one another. That's the beauty of us not all being on the same, walking the same footsteps and just doing the same thing. Right? Derek says, "Slave to money till you die." Like, look, think about the poor people in Australia. They are stuck on that island, and they have to do exactly what they're told, and all their guns were taken away from them. Like, man, like that would be scary alone. Just being a puppet to the or being stuck in North Korea or something like that. At least we can still criticize our government. Time to go check on the tent. All right, Alan, have a good one, man. Oh, I got to write down Cindy Lou. Anyway, look, I appreciate the people that keep coming back. We've had some difficult discussions the last 2 weeks, and some people get into the emotions a little bit too fast, and that's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. It takes a lot to move me as far as emotions. I really fear for I feared for all the woke. I did not like the woke stuff happening, and I think collectively America has spoken and showed a mandate that says they don't like it either, and a lot of companies are stepping back from it. Here's another current event. Have we all noticed that a ton of the mainstream media, which would be traditionally left wing or from most perspectives, has almost all started to close down and fire everybody? Did you see this, Kim?
I've been out of the loop so much with all this moving stuff and nearly dying last week that
it's kind of telling.
I don't really know what's going on. And you know what? I don't pay attention to the media very much. I mean, I watch the local news, and like NBC Nightly News will come on, and I don't really pay attention to it. The only news outlet thing that I watch religiously is the Today Show. But the Today Show is not, it's more than just news. Like they do the headlines first thing in the morning, but most of the other stuff it's not really news stuff. It's interviews with celebrities and all, it's a smorgasbord of stuff. But I don't really pay attention to the news. Like I get my news when I want to know something, I go to connections that I have. I by virtue of my early work that I used to do in politics, I still have a lot of political connections, both Democrat, Republican, whatever you want to call it. And when I want to know what's going on, that's what I do. I talk to people that either work in the government somewhere at a high level or that work in politics or whatever. And then I make my own decisions about what I want to think about whatever it is that's going on.
So, I like to look at information from a lot of angles, and the fact is, there are people out there that spend all day long looking at different information, and I like some people. The people I like are people that show you where they're finding it. They tell you to go do your own research, and they use opposition research. They use opposition. So like Tim Pool will show you the articles from the side that he's talking about versus a lot of people think that you're in an echo chamber because you're only listening to the talking heads on whatever side tell you what to think. And in this case, he's literally showing you the articles, from their point of view and discerning it. Now, I'll say this. This is the article real quick. This is the article that I'm talking about, or not article, but at least one post about it. Comcast is putting MSNBC up for sale. CNN just announced massive layoffs coming. And let's see. So it was CNN and MSNBC from Comcast. Comcast putting MSNBC for sale. CNN, yeah, similar thing.
And that's coming from, what's the source on that?
Your media, like a whole bunch of accounts on X. Like you can see.
I don't know. I don't know if I trust that.
X has something called community notes.
Manipulate shit, and
that's anything I show you. Doesn't matter what I show you. You could say that. What I'm telling you though is that on X you have a sort of consensus happen through everybody having the open sharing of thoughts and ideas and not being censored like Facebook. So what happens is you can see people that will put up community notes where they challenge what was said, and they can put up a correction. Even on Elon Musk's post, they can correct it. And what you see is when there's a whole bunch of people talking about something, typically a couple days later there might be a retraction, and that's what happened with the Olympics, all the Olympic stuff going on. You would see everybody talking about it. And when I say everybody, I'm talking about people with millions of followers. And I don't mean that, I'm not saying that you should believe someone just because they have millions of followers, but when a whole bunch of them are not necessarily buddies, but a lot of people reporting a similar thing, you start to see what's called the wisdom of the crowd. And that is where you saw the betting markets for the election versus these fake polls. But anyway, like I think these are all verified accounts. Trish Reagan breaking, cable news collapses, Comcast set to sell MSNBC. Yeah, like a lot of people, I've heard it on podcasts. I just went and searched it and found it pretty easy. Yeah, they're all falling apart here. CNN, ABC, CBS, and Fox lie constantly. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I think it's groupthink. I think it's taking a little bit of something and then applying your agenda or whatever filter you apply.
They announced it. CNN announces that they're going to have a major layoff. Like that's not there's no spin on that.
Yeah, but for what purpose? I mean, have you dug into what the purpose is behind it, or are you just taking?
I'm just saying. I'm not even saying.
No, this is what's going on. It must be.
Yeah, it's current events. I'm saying what's going on. What's at Red 6?
Is that a reflection of how many people are using streaming now instead of watching?
Their numbers are way down. A lot of cable news is way down, and that's true. I've been.
Well, I will tell you, I used to watch CNN news like 30 years ago. When Greta Van Susteren and I don't know when it was reputable, but like Fox News is down too because these news outlets they're not, they have agendas and you're getting a lot of bias and people are not watching them because of the bias. It's like they don't trust them.
When did X have major layoffs?
I'll watch NBC, but I don't watch MSNBC. Those are a bunch of fucking liberal, just like CNN. I don't watch CNN for the same reason. It's like I don't ascribe to that. I'm a very independent thinker. I know what I know based on my education, my body of knowledge, and my experiences of having worked in this and stuff, and that's where I determine, and it's like, and I sit there and I'll listen to all of this stuff and it's like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit. So,
I mean, I definitely am all about logic and at least my logic. Now we could argue maybe our logics are different. Like maybe, we logically come about different conclusions. And so that's where I think people can have a difference. But for me, I try to think of things like with a logical pattern. Red 6, you were going to say something, weren't you?
No, I did. Talking about how many people are using live streaming, stuff like that.
So what that meant, so Matthew asked about X having a lot of layoffs. They did that on purpose because they didn't need, that's one reason that Elon's being brought in for the Doge Department of, Department of Efficiency or something. But anyway, they brought him in because he could tell that he could run X with 80% less employees. And that was part of his efficiency, sort of his talent for efficiency. Cylindrical. Yeah, cycles for sure, Matthew. I totally agree. Like we're on a pendulum. There are cycles. We go through them, but we do keep moving towards something, which is like advancement. Hopefully we get past ourselves and see the stars. Like if I, for one, would like to see us, colonize, we'll be arguing against the Martians eventually, like those damn people from Mars or those people that live on the damn moon. Like it'll be. You know what I mean? It hurts when you take or alter social safety net. Yeah, no, it really does, and that's why. What is it called? Not special interests, but maybe it is called special interest, that there's another, entitlements. Entitlements. No politician can touch entitlements. To Kim's point earlier, it's a death sentence if you try and fuck with the entitlements, but they just keep getting bigger. There was a time, I forget what politician was boasting. They were boasting the numbers of people on food stamps were so high. Look how many people we're feeding. This is great. Like, well, hold on. Like, that's not that shouldn't be the end goal, in my opinion. The end goal should be down to 0 people needing government assistance for food, right? But they were saying it the other way around because look how many people are on our program, and and I just saw that and I was like, wait a minute, there's something wrong about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find us a video of these women shaving their heads. There's a compilation of it, and it's not to laugh at necessarily. It's just it's a viral thing happening right now, and it's just something that I think is a little bit intense. If you're really that afraid that you have to shave your head, and then like a lot of women that are going on sex strikes. Kathy Griffin
No,
joins the
she's
sex
the one that
strike.
got in trouble for doing that, where she cut off Trump's head and it was all bloody.
Yeah, like how evil
Nuts.
is enough to go up against somebody when you think they're Hitler? That's the thing. People, once you paint Trump as worse than Hitler, first he was so bad, then he was almost as bad as Hitler, then he was Hitler, now he's worse than Hitler. That just keeps ramping up, and so a lot of regular people see that, and that just stops working after a while. You keep ramping up the rhetoric. And now, he's way worse than Hitler. If you look at the 2 Wikipedias, you see Hitler where they just kind of talk about him factually, whatever he did this. You look at Trump's and it's like they interject all this stuff, but he was so bad because of this. And it's totally obvious. It's like, it's just it's called 5th generational warfare. And so you gotta be, so this is the thing. A lot of people did not like Trump, but didn't see him as this evil person that everyone says he is. And so the people that are so extreme about it, they kept pushing regular people or what you might say moderate people towards him, not away from him. Like, you could every criticism that's ever been levied about him, you could say it's true, and I would still tell you that the government has done worse things. Just personally, that's just my opinion, man. Like, and so I'm just never going to be this angry about one guy that comes in, who might be, I don't know, uncouth. He's rude. He's a comedian. He likes to shit talk. Basically, like a lot of comedians. That's why a lot of comedians like them. He just like
Why
to
are
say
these women shaving their heads? I don't get it.
they're angry about Trump because they think they're going to be put into. So these women don't protest the actual women who are forced to wear burqas and other things in the world right now. What they are doing is they are trying to look like the characters from a fictional show called The Handmaid's Tale, and they are like convinced that's what's going to happen, but not the least bit concerned with women in real life that are going through oppression in countries where they would kill you if they found out you were gay, and we just that seems to be off the worry list. Now, like a woman in the Middle
Well,
East
I will
a lot of
say
times,
that it bothers me that women in other countries, don't have the freedoms and whatnot. I
right?
can't do anything about that. I don't live there. I don't have any control over it. Like how am I going to affect any kind of a change in a place that I don't live? You know what I mean? But I can effectuate change here in my own backyard. So I think it's unfair to characterize women in that, characterize things like that.
Like what? I'm sorry.
Well, like you did. Like, well, if you're so concerned about women and their rights, why aren't you all, concerned about these women that have to wear burqas?
No, I brought up the fictional because they continually reference The Handmaid's Tale, which is a fictional show, and they constantly talk like that's their future, and versus talking about what's really going on right now. I think that's disingenuous. It's crazy. What's up, Elisa May?
What's up?
I don't know. I think there's a lot of women that are truly afraid of what's going on with this administration.
Well, being truly afraid is different than being in true danger. And no, I'm not saying they're not, because that's up to
Well,
each
it's
person
an
to decide.
unknown, and that's where fear comes in. Most people are afraid of things that they don't know about, and there's a lot to be afraid of.
But why doesn't anyone on the side that's afraid, I guess, uh, have any introspection and say, oh, well, this may be what, like, is there any sympathy, like, oh, this may be what they feel on the other side, and why is that? And I've talked, or I've not talked to, but I've seen a lot of videos of disaffected liberals, because once they start to question anything, once they stop following everyone else and doing what they do, they are then shoved out and ostracized, and then called right wing and extremist and white supremacist and all the names. You lose me when you start calling people names. Like, that's just, you know, I made that post in general today, and a lot of people came at me specifically, and it's like, well, look, I mean, I'm I'm talking about what I see, and if I see a lot of something and I say something about it, who are you to say what I saw? You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I try to do. I say, hey, look, you might be fearful legitimately, but that is no reason to then, like someone said, shoot their dad or go out and commit violence or shave your head off. Like, what is that accomplishing? That's just acting out to virtue signal. You're telling me the fear of
Well,
this girl is what made her cut her hair off? That doesn't make a lot of sense.
fear isn't necessarily something that makes sense. A
I
lot of
guess
it
you're right. It
is
can be irrational.
irrational.
Okay.
You can't apply logic to things that are illogical, and a lot of the times fear isn't a logical thing. Like, I'm scared to death of sharks, and after I saw Jaws when I was 8 years old, when I saw Jaws in the theater, I wouldn't. I was scared to death to take a bath, and I would sit there in the bathtub and look for a fucking shark swimming around, and I would look behind me the whole time, hyper vigilant of a fucking shark in the bathtub with me. Is that rational? Is there going to be a shark in my bathtub? No.
Yeah, but they didn't make you, like, wear a scuba gear or whatever. Like,
No, but it's still fear is what my point is that fear is irrational.
yeah, just
There's
Matthew has a good
it's
point
not
here.
necessarily logic to it. Fear is fear. People are
Matthew,
afraid of spiders, snakes,
We
whatever.
live in scary times. It is fearing.
yeah, and sometimes you need sometimes you have to be assertive, and I think there was a terrible choice. Most people agree that we don't have great choices anymore, but Matthew makes a good point. He says Trump called a lot of people names. Has he lost me? Well, if we were having an argument or a discussion or a debate, this is my point: is if we're having a debate and you're talking about information, and you don't want to, like, if you go straight to calling me names, like, I've never had a debate with Trump. If we were having a good discussion and I brought up some information and he just said, "Oh, you're an idiot," then yeah. But if it was somebody trying to if I started gaslighting Trump, or if I had multiple moderators like stop
When
him every time
are
he
you ever
talks,
going
and
to have the opportunity to have a discussion with Donald Trump?
I
That
don't know,
ain't never
they're
going to
calling
happen.
they're literally calling him the podcast president. So, like, I'm not saying I would, but if I did, I'm talking about
No,
direct
he would
conversation with
probably
people.
just disrespect you by calling you a loser veteran because you have a disability.
Yeah, I don't think that clip. Okay, should we watch the whole clip?
The whole clip of what? This lady shaving her
Did
hair off.
Trump call veterans?
Or how
losers?
about the one where he makes fun of people that are mentally challenged, where he does that thing?
That wasn't true either. He was doing that towards a specific person in the news or a
It
anchor.
doesn't matter.
Whatever it
He
was.
equated that with somebody that has mental retardation. It's very disrespectful.
Disrespectful. I mean that, but like when you bring that up, all I can think of is Kathy Lee with his decapitated head, or like any number of other
She
like
wasn't the
really
president of the
disrespectful things.
United States, dude. She's an entertainer.
Okay, but
She's
you
not
think
the president of the United States. She's not a role model. She's not.
she's a role model? She's got a
No,
lot of followers and
she's
fans.
not. Well, she
She's a
might.
That's what
celebrity.
happens when you let an entertainer as president in there.
Yeah,
He's entertaining.
yeah. Let's see, finding it hard to believe that Donald Trump. Okay, so this might. Oh, it's a 9-second clip. I want to see the whole clip though.
He's the worst. He's the boy. I like people that work. Okay, I hate the death.
I like people that are
He
what?
just said something about the war hero. That's not anything to do with calling a veteran losers. Let's see. Here's a clip where Donald Trump's chief of staff admits Donald Trump called our veterans suckers and losers. Okay, let me listen to this.
Yeah, he said that about what's his name, John McCain.
I'd like to hear him say it.
John McCain. I remember him saying that.
Well, he might have said it about John McCain, but that doesn't mean that he says all veterans are losers.
He wasn't just talking about John McCain, dude, but he brought John McCain into it too. He's just not appropriate.
What's appropriate though? Like that's why like anybody that doesn't like comedians, I guess, wouldn't like Donald Trump. I guess.
It's one thing if I'm going to a comedy club to be entertained, and I expect that out of a comedian. I expect them to be crass and say inappropriate stuff because that's what they do. That's how they get their laughs. I never. You know who Gallagher was? The guy that smashed the watermelons.
Yeah.
That's not a comedian that I would have ever gone to see because I don't want to freaking have to cover up and get smashed watermelon all over me. I don't go to things, I don't support things that don't fit my values. So we make our choices on the entertainment that we use. But, as president, I do not want somebody representing me that acts the way that he does or has the belief system that he has.
That's the truth. The
way
belief
that he does. It
So
doesn't fit my values to vote for somebody like that.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have
The
preferred
guy is
a Democrat.
he's a convicted rapist. He has multiple
I don't think
women that have accused. Yes, he does.
Where was he convicted?
I don't remember I think it was New York City.
No, he was never convicted.
Okay, well, whatever. He's got 27 women that have come forward saying that he has either raped or molested them or something.
30 years later, just as
it doesn't matter.
You're telling me there's nothing fishy about that?
Damn it, listen to me. You're a man and you don't know shit about being raped. I do. I was raped. I was raped when I was in the military. Do you know how many fucking years it took for me to say a goddamn thing about it? It took more than 30 years. So don't sit there and use that as an excuse because you're not a woman. You've never been raped and you don't know what
I actually have been raped. Don't talk to me about what I have been done and have been not done.
Well, you're not a woman that's been raped, so you don't know.
So I have to be a woman
and
that's been raped.
You weren't raped by somebody that's a billionaire, so you don't know.
Okay, so
when somebody has a lot of power and a lot of money and everything else, and they can freaking take that out on you. You don't know.
Is there any chance that it was all brought up all of a sudden for like nefarious reasons? Is there any chance at all that it was all bullshit? 27. All like
Yeah, 27 women. What about the little girl that he raped on the one that was the teenager on Jeffrey Epstein's island? What about all the accusations? She wasn't the only one.
well, we want
You
him
know
to
damn
release the
well if
names.
he was on Epstein's island that he wasn't there just to vacation. You know that he was there for sex parties.
Release the names. Most people on the right want those names released. I
Well,
don't hear
get them
much of that from the
released.
left.
Get them released. I'm sure it's going
Do it.
to be a plethora of all kinds of people
Yeah.
that have
Get 'em.
money and power because that's what those people do.
I'm not really seeing a definitive one way or the other. But anyway,
Well,
you know,
I remember seeing that when he went after John McCain.
well, yeah, but John McCain was just a warmonger, rhino, basically. I didn't like John McCain. But I was leery of Trump when he jumped over from the Democrat Party all of a sudden. Oh, now I'm a Republican. I just thought it was more controlled opposition from the Democrats. But he's basically like his own separate thing, and I don't agree with everything he does. He's basically brought the right more close to the center by a lot of his left-leaning policies and way he did things in the beginning, like being the first gay marriage, president, and things like that. For a Republican, that was crazy at the time. And so, yeah, he's definitely brought. That's why he's got such a big tent party, because he's more in the middle. Like him or don't like him, he's not as extreme on. Well, now maybe he's gotten pushed more to the right. That's for sure. But I don't think he's as Christian as he acts.
No, he's not, and he's an anything goes kind of a person. And I'm not, I'm not down for that. I'm a conservative at heart, and I don't know. There's just things that bother me. I'm very much a Christian, and I'm not a perfect Christian by any means, but I'm very strongly Christian, and he does not. I cannot deal with that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was the first. I saw him say he was okay with gay marriage when he was elected the first time. He was the first president okay with gay marriage. Right,
well, one of the things that I've noticed about him is he'll come out and he'll say something off the cuff, and then he retracts it days later.
That's every news.
And that's because his base rises up and says, And so he goes back and he changes his, hey.
Well, he might just be wrong. I mean, people do that all the time. What's up, King Neb?
What's going on, family? What's going on, Red?
King Neb, what do you think of the dynamic of being able to apologize these days as a famous person? When you say you're sorry, then all of a sudden the sharks swarm and they say, oh, you've admitted it. And so a lot of times it's almost like you can't even come out and say you were wrong about something nowadays, because then admitting fault, it's like, oh, boom.
My father said, you're not a man until you own up to your responsibilities. So nothing's wrong with apology. You got to have a good heart, I believe. I apologized to somebody last night, too. So
yeah,
very against him.
I did something wrong. What's up, Elisa? Back?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I do. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Good.
Okay, good.
I know you was going with that.
Well, let me change gears and do this other spin. Forgot.
Why is she on there?
AOC, conversational cabinet picks are the first step in carrying out his agenda. Well, yeah, like they say it like he's not supposed to have an agenda. Like everyone's going to have to, like they got to have a plan, whether you like it or not, whether it was really 2025 or actually 2047 or whatever, or like Agenda 47. Like, it doesn't matter what it does matter maybe in some other sense. But my point is, you got to have a plan.
You got to have a plan, yeah.
Oh, no, Hitler has a plan. Like, well, okay, like, should he just walk around? He does kind of go off the cuff. You're right, Kim. And sometimes people like that. They like seeing the non-politician.
He's not a politician, exactly.
Exactly. And I listen to people from all different, walks of life over on X, and there's literally people that bring up some points I've never even heard of. But there are people that are afraid of all kinds of different specific things. And I'm all for talking about those things.
Well,
There-
I think one of the biggest fears that people have about Trump is his fascination with dictators and his friendships with dictators and stuff like that. He has a very much an affinity towards that kind of thing, and I think a lot of people are very, very concerned about that.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's one of the biggest
I don't know
concerns.
that our policies before that were doing any better. I mean, just killing them and taking over their country with puppet dictators, and like we did with Saddam, and I don't know I don't know if our prior plans and the way we did things was much better. Honestly, he's not wrong when he says you should respect people, powerful people that run countries. Like there's a level of respect there. Just like in the military, we had to respect the rank, even if you didn't like the person, right?
Yeah,
Um,
but is he respecting them or is he friendly with them? That's a whole different thing,
Yeah.
because that's where he got his money. He couldn't get loans from, for his big ventures that he had, the traditional places where people typically get those loans wouldn't loan him money because they were too risky, and he went to the Russian oligarchs is where he got his money. So I think that, there's a lot of people that know this, and given that he has an affinity towards, you know, um, dictatorial ways of thinking and
Dictatorship.
doing, I think that people will have a genuine fear that that's what we're going to get.
Rose, I am not sure what you're mad at me about. I say one thing and did another. What did I do?
Uh-oh.
Check that out, Waylon. Okay, I see a link there from Matt. What's up, Colin? Can we tell by the GD talk? I'm missing something there, Rose. She didn't even have a plan to address her people after she lost. Yeah, she did kind of just let everybody leave. Look, I mean, I get that everyone wants to be one-sided about what they're angry about, but I look at both sides. And if you're
Yeah.
going to tell me there was nothing wrong with them installing someone the last hour where you didn't even get to vote for her, and you're going to talk to me about democracy, I don't want to hear it, because that's messed up. Like Trump this, Trump that, but they literally just appointed someone after running Weekend at Bernie's for 3.5 years. Like, don't tell me that's not messed up in like the most messed up ways possible. Just because Trump's visible, like I'm worried about the people that are invisible that have been running the country for 3.5 years. Like who are those fucking people? Like, yeah, like that we should be more worried about that just because he says some nasty things or he did something bad or gross or he was a man and none of those things add up to the uh, unelected, invisible, like crazy, backroom government that we have. Like that's what worries me. People are like, well, what's Trump going to do? This and that. I don't know, but it can't be much worse than what's been going on for 20 years.
Presidents are puppets.
Yeah, he's the only one that's going to be like, you know what? Let's do something else.
Mm-hmm.
I'll push this button. Might be the only. We might be the only like country this big that lasts longer than the typical country decline. Everything's cyclical, like Matthew said earlier. People have been getting mad at me for stating my opinions, but honestly, I'm getting sick of coming up every week and just pointing out that this is the problem. People that like whenever we have these discussions and it gets kind of heated, which tonight really wasn't bad at all. We've gotten much worse. I think we're getting somewhere when that happens. I don't know why I have this up still. I think that's when we're actually making progress. I don't know. The people that are giving up and running away, that's their prerogative, but they're never going to get, I don't know, they're never going to find reconciliation with people again. Maybe people don't want that. Maybe they want to have this peaceful divorce of the country. Have you heard of this?
Can't please everybody, man. Can't please everybody.
You cannot please everybody. That's why people look at Trump and it's like, yeah, I could list a bunch of things I don't like about him, but my other list is way longer. I don't know. We're getting into the weeds here, but let me put this up. I gotta go back here. See, I didn't stop watching you. You have on. You have on. Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah. Um. Everybody
He's
who's watching has to
angry
make up their
because
own.
I got angry.
Oh
So
well, I mean, it happens. That wasn't even that bad. I've been yelled at way worse on this show, and I'm
It
not like
wasn't,
I'm
but
not.
I was uncomfortable to be up here when it got a little hot like
I
this.
miss all the drama. I miss it,
Yeah,
Willie.
you missed it, man. Would you want to argue with King Deb? We can
No,
argue
no, I
about
don't
some
want to.
of that.
No arguments, please.
Let's go,
Debate,
man.
yes, but no arguments.
Debate. Okay. Well, what's going on in your life, man? I know you got a lot of rolling with the punches lately.
Yeah.
Let's roll this wheel while we hear from King Neb.
Um.
So,
Uh. That's what's going on with me. Depression. I'm getting out of that. I'm starting to eat more. Starting to sleep early. And yeah, I'm good. I'm working on some music.
good.
I have a
Music.
roommate though.
Music.
That's like I might not want her to be the roommate because she's hitting on me and I'm feeling uncomfortable.
Uh-oh.
that's
I never had I did have a roommate like that once. I think we had sex, yeah. So
Yeah.
probably don't want
Well,
to do that.
she's more like a mom, but it's like,
Oh snap.
yeah, like don't hit on me, please. Oh, I'll give you a bath. Oh, wash your feet. Like, no, don't. Just pay the rent. Take care of your space. Like, not do all of that.
Number 8. Let's see. And I'll just say this for Kim. Like Kim, we've had many episodes where we disagree, and for you to keep coming back, like that says a lot by itself. And
You can agree this.
I definitely respect your opinion, and I'm never gonna say don't have your opinions, because I think everybody's opinion is valid because it adds perspective, and we've talked about it, many times on the
Absolutely.
show. But even people that think the Earth is flat, or even people that whatever the perspective is, it's like, oh, interesting, okay, like let's talk about it. And I don't know, I really try not to get invested in things because I look at things on a super macro level sometimes, where
Mhm.
I'm like thinking about 100 years from now and shit. Like nothing we talk about right now is gonna even really matter in so many years, And it's just one of those things where it shouldn't be that. I don't know. We shouldn't be that worried. I think, for the most part, I think we're not going to see huge changes right away. Maybe we'll see some changes. Maybe there'll be stuff that we like. Well, if we don't like, I don't know. But 4 years kind of goes by quick nowadays. We see that with every presidency. We'll see what happens.
Diddy, he'll release Diddy. He'll definitely pardon Diddy.
You think he's going to pardon Diddy?
Of course.
I think Diddy worked for the government the whole time.
Diddy.
I wonder who all's associated with Diddy. You know that he's got some big names.
Oh, they might.
He's not any different than the Epstein
They
thing.
might
He's not dead yet.
No,
Epstein
exactly.
Light.
There it is.
Epstein Light.
Epstein Light. Mm-hmm.
Okay, looks like there's no one to add. Let me check the group here. Yeah, no, I'm all for it. Look, if Donald Trump's on the list, he's on the list. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
People act like there is a cult of personality, I think, and there are low IQ people on every side of issues that just go with whatever they're told, and there are sheeple everywhere. But for the most part, like, there's a lot of free thinkers that just happen to have good points. Like, look at Ben Shapiro. Like, I mean, the man can talk way faster than I can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with everything he says, but man, if I wanted to argue with him about something, I'm sure I would get blown away. And I don't really watch him that often, but I've seen him a lot of times on other shows. And it's just there's some people out there right now that you just can't. that they just like. I don't like these videos where they say destroyed so and so or the so and so got destroyed. Like I just want to see the debate, you know, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's just irrefutable. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Let me check this, make sure I didn't have to add anybody. Okay, 32. Okay. Looking for
I don't
number
really care
8.
about a lot of it. I sit over here with my peace pipe and mind my own business. It's all out
You're
of my control anyways.
you got all Lisa May, you got all sped up and staticky.
I did.
Yeah,
Am I fine now?
Like robot-y. No. Roboto.
Roboto.
Anyway, I do I gotta say this too, for anybody that goes up live and does shows or does anything, talking about your opinions on things is tough because I can alienate, you know, some of my community. I can lose money, all that kind of thing.
Yep.
But I told myself when I got into this that I don't, for one thing, I said that I don't care about my, I don't, not reputation necessarily, but looking silly or looking, you know, like reputation in a different way. Like we got to care about our reputation to an extent because it matters as far as like whether you are being slandered or something. But what I mean is like keeping, like trying to be too cool or trying to worry about like how I look or, you know, like I throw out goofy pictures and things like that and, you know, make fun of yourself. Don't take yourself so seriously. And I told myself I would do that right along with being open about how I believe and how I feel. Now, I'll tell you this: I've seen a lot of hate from the right to people calling them crybabies and all this and that. I was accused of saying crybaby, and it's like I wasn't saying that. I'm talking about the people who are making this like huge long list of all these things that are about to come down on us, and it's all about to happen. And it's all gonna be so terrible, like sounding like Chicken Little about the sky is falling. Like I get it. If you're worried, but when you're posting about it, you're basically trying to say that you want other people to feel this way, or you want to find other people that agree with you or whatever. And that's kind of what I was posting about. But I wasn't trying to call anybody crybabies. If you're literally crying, I'm not going to call you a crybaby. Like people cry, it happens. But I mean, yeah, I've not seen that. I've not even seen any compilations of literally people crying or anything like that. So I think that's a silly insult that people are saying. Now there are some people that are questioning their beliefs, and I think that's a good thing. Should always be open to questioning those, and that's what we do here. So shouts out to you guys. Anyway, number 8 is Perry Wood. Congratulations, Perry.
Is my sound messed up now?
No, you sound better.
I'm better.
No.
Guys, I'll get back to the comments, but comments have been going crazy tonight, so there's been a lot. Most of them angry at me. Hey, look, I appreciate it. I appreciate the engagement.
Once people
tonight.
understand that we can agree to disagree, then they'll be better off.
Yeah, and I gotta say this: when you think about a problem and all you can think of is what's like anecdotally, like how it affects you, but you don't see the bigger picture. And I don't mean that you guys or anybody in particular, myself included. That's where you lose perspective on what. And I'm not all for like the collective. I'm not like what's best for everybody we should do, but there should be a balance, right? Like there's between freedom and security. Freedom and security. There's a balance. People, the more freedom you get, the less security you have. The more security you get, the less freedom you get. So where's the line? I don't know. Where's the right minimum wage? I don't know. Like I just think some of those things work themselves out naturally. You know, I like what we're doing here, the experiment of the United States. Given and if nothing else, look, I've heard some of the other side of this, but I do like this about Trump that he does want to push more power back to the states. Now I've heard some of the arguments against it, and I get that, especially with abortion. You know, this whole back and forth across state lines and this stuff. Same thing with guns, cannabis, all these other things. But you got to kind of think, you got to kind of see that as a beautiful thing too. The way that we have so many states connected, but getting to do their own thing. That's how experiments get better. That's how science is. You do a control study and you do a bunch of other studies and try to repeat it and see if this worked better over here, that works better. So I kind of like that about it, but there's corruption to worry about, of course. And with that being said, I'm going to do a dab. We can probably get going here pretty soon. Does anybody have anything else they want to get
Yeah, we
into?
got this new honey from Hawaii. It's yummy. It's white.
Oh, nice.
Okay, well, I didn't call them crybabies, was my point. I'm talking about the ones who are acting scared by posting about it. I don't think that's genuine. The ones that are posting these like a book long thing about all their rights that are about to be taken away. That's a little overboard. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you shouldn't be afraid. I'm just saying when you're posting about it as if it's already like you've already lost something and it's all gone. People did that on the right. If you want to go to both sides, like the gun laws, like because they were taking all these little tiny chips away at the gun rights. They're bump stock this and whatever type of gun that, and there's all these little bits they keep taking away. People were worried about that, and they still are, I'm sure. And maybe rightly so. Look, I just posted that in the heat of the moment, thinking there are tons of people posting right now just to work people down.
Why do you feel the need to explain yourself, though?
Because Matthew keeps bringing it up, and Matthew's one of my sponsors. Like I'll always answer him. Like I love him. I'm not gonna.
Everybody's entitled to their opinions, just like they have an asshole.
But no, I totally get
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I just don't think the majority of them that are complaining are people like Matthew, which could be like legitimately impacted. The few that I have seen are, no offense,
I'm black.
Rich liberal white women.
I'm black. There you go.
Hey, you're black. I actually go into some awesome spaces on X. There's 2 different spaces I go to that are basically almost all black people talking about how, like, in our all for Trump mostly, they get some people come up that will talk a different.
I think most blacks are for Trump because it's like free money.
Free money?
Yeah.
What?
I heard today there's supposed to be some stimulus check. I'm like, what do you mean stimulus check? For what?
No.
What do you mean? Stimulus for what?
I hope not. We're trying to cut down spending.
Well, he did give us some free money.
Yeah, that PPP.
Well, it's not really free. We might be paying for it in the end.
Yeah, the PPP loan. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my point. Is that we are making
For the very poor people, though, that was a come up.
Yeah. Not own the business, but never applied for it.
Yeah, that's true, and that's not a bad.
And that PPP loan, that was a real come up for a lot of self-employed people.
And you can argue pretty much. You could probably argue with every program, the good and the bad side of it. I mean, like with Matthew talking about the insurance that, like the ACA. Like I get that people are on it that are living because of it, but that doesn't discount the negatives of it. And you know what I mean? And to your point, Matthew, I'll talk about. I'll bring it up one last time. You might be right about how it came off, man. But I was more than happy to explain myself in the comments and stuff. So I appreciate you coming in and asking me about it. What's up, Twisted? Come on in, man. Come on up. Got anything going on in the Twisted Cannabis community? So there were some other stories I wanted to get to. Oh yeah, there was a big march in New York. Did you see that? With the they weren't. I don't think they were all illegal aliens or anything like that. But it was a lot of people that maybe some were, maybe some weren't. But they were protesting, saying we won't go back or whatever. That happened a few days ago. Let's see. Nothing since. I don't think anything sensational happened because of it. I just remember seeing that, a big sort of protest march. I'm trying to name the other stories that I can think of that just happened. This is so weird. SCNR hasn't updated see.
So what was the thing with the mass exodus with X today?
I didn't see that directly. I just saw Don Lemon leaving X and he had to make a post about it, but he's actually still there. But he had to make a post about how he's leaving, but didn't go anywhere. And then I know there's a bunch of other like left wing sort of influencers that are planning to leave, or maybe are going to leave. I don't know.
Why are they leaving though? I don't understand why they're leaving.
They should have left when it changed from Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing I can think of is that, and I don't mean to be negative about it, but they can't handle the conversation. Like you can be on the same platform and put out whatever you put out and be wrong. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Doesn't matter. Like me, I could be totally wrong about what I put out today, but that's my right to do. And so I don't see why they're leaving either. Like maybe they just felt scared or something. I don't know. I don't know what the fear was, but they're leaving because it's starting to become a little more right wing than left wing. And every site you go to is going to have a bias or have a lean. It's just a fact. Like look at my demographic. If I go look at my demographic, I'm going to have a certain percentage of men and a certain percentage of women. It's not because I'm catering to one or the other. It just happens to be how it works out. You know. Look, so the protections are a good thing, but the downside was so they shut down a whole bunch of stuff. Remember when Obama put it in? The Republicans did end up taking a bunch of it out, but they realized they couldn't shut it down because of the pre-existing conditions, and so they did change it. It has changed a bit. What's up, Neb? Remember anything about it?
The Obamacare thing.
Yeah, that's what the ACA is, Obamacare. But I think that once it was put in and a lot of people were put on it, look, so here's a shady thing that happened. I don't know if it was a downside, but they put veterans into it. They put veterans into, or anybody that was in Medicare, all considered ACA now. And they did that in order to boost the numbers. That was when Obama was in. They made it look how many people we got on it. But it was literally just them transferring people over. It wasn't even true. I thought that was kind of shady. From my understanding, they're leaving to protest Musk. Yeah, well, they don't like Musk because he's, doing whatever he thinks is right. Maybe he's the big bad guy that whoever thinks, whatever they think about him. But either way, he's doing something against the grain of the other mainstream social media sites. I like it. He's literally he I don't see any other site where the owner is messaging, is putting up posts that you can talk to him on, that you can comment on. Talk about transparency. Country boy, I saw a clip of that Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. He punched him in the face while they were at the
Really smacked him.
Is
But
the
that's
fight
the old
still
Mike
on,
Tyson.
right?
I'm not sure, but I did see it looked like his fist was closed, Neb.
Yeah,
Like
he whacked him.
Good promotion, I guess.
Isn't the
Fight
fight
is tomorrow. Yep, the fight's tomorrow.
They always do that though. They always have these like, I don't know. Remember what was it? Ronda Rousey. Who was the one from Albuquerque that she fought? The blonde.
Roger got her ass tore up.
Can't think of. Yeah, she did. But like they used to like bring them together like that, and they would be like all squaring off at each other and shit, just to kind of like I think draw attention.
Yeah, to hype up the fight.
Hype
That
it
usually
up.
happens.
Hype
I'm a boxer myself.
Yeah,
Mike looks pretty good still, but and I gotta say Jake Paul doesn't look particularly impressive in any kind of way.
I think Mike Tyson's gonna get that dude.
They made a deal. I'm pretty sure. Again, check it out yourself. But I'm pretty sure they did a deal where Mike's not allowed to go full force on the face or head. He's only allowed, or was that a deal that Mike had to do with another fighter at some point? I can't remember. I heard them talking about it on somewhere.
Sheesh.
Probably Timcast.
Probably told
Anyway,
him not to be
crazy.
biting anybody's ears.
Don't bite the ear off.
You know, that was
no
the first-
biting. No biting.
That was rule number one. Leave the ears alone. Or no, he's gonna come out. He's gonna come out with like a wrestling, like a headgear that covers just the ears.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Kind of like wrestlers do. Don't
I
wrestlers wear headgear?
That's what I said. Yeah, I used to wrestle. I was a wrestler for 8 years. I'll cheers to that.
I used to be I was friends with this guy that was he played rugby, and he played over in Europe. And I didn't really know anything about rugby at the time, but he was telling me it was like really brutal. He said that, you know, people had their ears ripped off in the scrum and stuff like that. I was like, oh, ooh.
My son used to wrestle. We went to state one year. He lost at state, but
Oh, just going is pretty awesome. I went to state
Yeah.
once. I won one match while I was there.
he
I was in
won one too.
Taekwondo too. I really want to get back into some martial arts.
Martial arts. I'm into martial arts.
The
Taekwondo.
first day he won one, lost
Taekwondo?
one. And then the second day he had one fight and he lost it right away.
My son is in Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
I want to get into some jiu-jitsu. As an older man, rolling around on the mat is a little less it's less impactful on the joints. They say that's what they say. I don't know. So there was something else that I was going to talk about, but I just keep thinking.
Hey, have you noticed, those of you that are affiliated with the military, I don't know if you guys like get military news or anything like that. I do in my email. But have you noticed that a lot of generals and really high-ranking officials are like being fired from their positions the last
That's
several
where the
months?
corruption is at the top.
It's crazy. Like, they just fired another Air Force commander, I can't remember which one, saying that they lost faith in his ability to lead or something like that. That's how they always couch it. It's always the same blurb.
A lot of on the ground commanders are being more vocal about the bureaucrat leaders in the military. And I just saw an interview with the general that Trump had promoted to his cabinet, and now he's not in the political game anymore. But was it Milley? I don't want to say Milley. Milley might be the other one. Shit, who was that on there? It was on Timcast. They had one of the generals from the administration in. And he was kind of talking about how he was kind of thrust into a role where he was typically on the ground, you know, in a war zone, and then now he's suddenly got to be, you know, doing political stuff. And there's a difference between guys like that, generals that are, you know, and let's just say, let's talk about that. The one of the newer hoaxes about Trump saying that Liz Cheney should be put in front of a firing squad. He was talking about it in the sense that, and with his, you know, usual way of saying things all fucked up, but if you listen to it, I agree with him. I mean, warmongers are in the government who are just sitting back, you know, in a nice, cozy room, sending our boys off to war and women, and you know, not giving a shit. And it's like when Kamala said that there was no American troops on the ground anywhere in the world. That was one of the most disconnected statements. And there was a compilation of soldiers in war zones watching it live in rooms with their fellow soldiers. Like, so
I mean, it's a balance thing, because look at John McCain, for instance. You know what I mean? How Trump, you know, responded about John McCain and, you know, POW. You know, he's a loser. You know, I don't like anybody that defecates on the military. I don't care who you are. You know, you may have some valid points.
Do you think it was more of a shot at John McCain or at the entire military?
I would think,
Well,
you shouldn't be putting.
it started out all POWs, and then he targeted John McCain.
John
I
McCain,
remember
yeah.
that. Was it in a debate? I can't remember what it was, but it was live because I
Yeah.
remember John McCain standing there like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" You know.
You know, he called the military losers. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
It
was looking
started
for
out
that, but I didn't
generally
see it. I
toward
couldn't find it.
military. And he
Yeah.
said,
Find the clip.
I like, his words were, I like people that
Don't get caught.
don't get caught.
Yeah, I mean that's to me that's a comedic line, honestly.
I don't find that amusing. And I don't think
People that
most
don't
people
get
found
caught.
that amusing. Yeah.
I mean,
And the way
Yeah.
that he said it was not in a joking manner either.
No, it was dead serious.
he
Yeah.
says a lot of jokes in that way too. Like a lot of people take him wrong, but I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying it sounds to me like when
Yeah.
you're talking about someone who, or like someone who lost a race or whatever, he would call them a loser. Like I wouldn't, but that's just me. I also don't use the word retard, but a lot of people do now.
Oh, he made fun of that reporter doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did that, but I don't think. I mean,
But
I'm talking about
that's
people
Trump
just
though.
using the
That
word.
Trump is off the cuff.
Yeah, and
He is a
again,
comedian. And who knows if he even really feels that way. His own son has a disability. I mean, he could be that cold-hearted.
he could be, but again, some people look at him as a wrecking ball that's like gonna tip over the table, like. And I don't necessarily know that we need that, but I do know that what is it, $36 trillion in debt. I mean, we're getting into like fiction here with this debt shit. Like, like what, like unknowable numbers and shit like that. Like, I just think that something has to be done. I think Elon will kick the space engine in gear, and it'll just like suddenly will be one of the most prosperous countries ever. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully.
Well, I don't know, but they need to get the immigration crap under control.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I'm
Yeah.
really concerned about, I'm not concerned about the Mexicans. I'm concerned about unfriendly agents coming into our country.
Yeah, they do that a lot of times with the visa and with like student visas, and then they just don't leave. And yeah, it's not all just from our border. There's a lot of different ways. And there's going to be a certain amount of that. I think you're never going to stop some of that, but that doesn't mean we couldn't just like lean towards it, not lean towards the side of like keeping some of that under control. I don't think it's a absolute either way. People say, well, they'll dig under the wall. Okay, I mean, you're probably
Well,
right, but
yeah, they do dig under the wall, but here they just did a major bust here in my community. Like there were whirlybirds all over. It was like a coordinated thing, and they hit I don't know how many houses, but that particular one was a drug bust. But they just before that they had done one where they busted like stash houses for humans, illegals. And so you have these coyotes that are bringing these people across, and they're bringing them across in usually a lot of the times it's in like semi truck trailers and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, cargo.
Cargo.
Mm.
So I don't know. Like I don't know how they're getting them through, to be honest with you, because if you I don't know that any of you guys have ever been across the borders down here, but when you come across the border, like when you go through, it's like it's cordoned off. So you have no choice but to go through the station. And when you enter it, there's x-ray cameras that like look in whatever your vehicle, first of all, and second of all, it's weighted. So when you drive on this path, like you're going over scales, and that's how, that's one of the ways that they use to try and interdict illegal stuff.
We had this problem for years, though.
Oh yeah.
whole lot of years. Yeah.
Do you think it's gotten better or worse?
I mean, as years progress, everything becomes either better or worse. You know, either
Yeah.
more
Well, that's why I
drugs
gave
or
you those
more.
two options.
Well, yeah. Me personally, I think it's the same. I just they don't have control over it, like no part. Like you put them in Guantanamo, then you get ridiculed for that, or you just put barbed wire, then you get ridiculed for that. So
Well, it's our policies though. Like if we
yeah,
had less sanctuary cities or less people that were actively encouraging it. George Soros putting people, embedding people into these caravans, showing them how to seek asylum versus just trying to walk over the border, like teaching people. There's an app now. There's these stations in the desert. I've seen pictures. Maybe it's fictitious, but there's these stations, that little tower thing that you can hit a button for help, and they can just come get picked up. And why is it that our government has been shipping people into different countries, into swing states, and this whole thing? All
oh
that's
yeah,
been happening. So if we could stop doing that stuff, then people would probably be less likely to want to come. And that's how it happened with Trump. He was a big scary bad guy, and then less people came here. Less people's tried to come here. I'm not saying that that's the right way to do it, but we definitely need something going on because look,
Well,
we talked about
what really helped with the Trump administration, to be fair with that, is that the pandemic broke out. And so
yeah.
they were able, because let me tell you something, one of the things that people don't realize is that even though these people are not citizens, they still have rights in this country. And presidents get sued over these policies, and then they have to change because they get sued. And so there were a lot of lawsuits against the Trump administration. I don't know how many lawsuits were against the Biden administration, but I know he had lawsuits for it. So you have these people that, they have rights. And if you violate their rights, then you get sued, and, they get due process just like American citizens do.
Yeah, but we got to stop. We got to stop attributing guilt to accusations. When somebody has a case against them, that does not mean they're guilty. When someone has a lawsuit against them, does not mean they're guilty.
Yeah, but that's human nature to do that.
Yeah, but people are saying that with Trump. Like, look how many 98 lawsuits. Like that to me just smells fishy. They're literally just throwing everything at the wall to then see if
Hoping it
something
sticks.
sticks.
Yeah,
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 like and people that don't like him are all for it because they think that something will stick. But you're going to
right.
tell me, you're going to sit there and tell me that was not bullshit when they just came out of nowhere with just lawsuit after lawsuit of like that's, come on, that's called lawfare. We have a term. We have a term for it. It's real. I don't know. I mean, I think that we do treat people that come across the border pretty well. I just don't think we need to give them houses and ship them
They
all
have
over
to
the
work
country.
for it like we do. I believe they have to work
Yeah.
for it.
Some people say that the northern border is just as bad, and I've not really seen any stories about that, but I could imagine with New York being right there
what
that could
scares
be
me
another.
about the northern border is there's a lot of Chinese up in Canada. And I don't know what's coming over the northern border, but I know the Chinese are not our friends.
But yeah, people talking about Russian assets and Trump and this and that, but we literally have people in our government. Remember this guy Eric Swalwell literally
Mm-hmm.
has a Russian asset. What's her name? Sing Sing, or no? It was like oh man, it was a funny name. Fing Fing or Fing Fing or Fung Fung. And she was his like aide or whatever for years, and they find out she's a Chinese asset. Like, can we figure some more of that out before we worry about where Trump got a loan many years ago? Like Bernie
I mean,
Sanders went and
the Russian hoax was real, but it wasn't a hoax.
which part?
You got Stone, you got Manafort, you got all these people that got locked up right before he became president. Like, you just got to figure out how many corrupt people got locked up before he became president and after he became president. Think about it. How many?
I'm not sure what you mean. Like how
The
many
Russian
people
hoax. He said it was a Russian hoax.
Yeah,
And it was,
the dossier, the fake dossier that Clinton paid for to have made and stuff.
yeah, but it wasn't a hoax because people got arrested, like Stone, Manafort, Flynn.
Being arrested doesn't mean that like we have plenty of false people falsely arrested. Like literally changing a misdemeanor to a felony so that you can say someone had a felony. That doesn't mean that it was right either. Like so, just because
Right, true.
people
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. But these people did time.
but there was found that Hillary Clinton
Hillary
or
Clinton too. Yep, exactly.
they paid for this Russian dossier to be created with fake information about Trump. So if there was real information about him being a Russian asset, I'd like to see it. But they found that Clinton
One
paid
minute he
for this.
doesn't know Putin. Next minute he does. 1 minute he doesn't. Then he's in the beauty pageant. Then he doesn't know Putin. It's just
Okay, I mean we had was it Bernie Sanders who honeymooned over there. He was talking about loving Putin too. So like I don't know, maybe a lot of politicians have been over there. Who knows?
yeah. I can imagine.
I'm sure that he's been in other countries too. Like he probably knows a lot of leaders
They
from
all
when he
do.
was just a
They all do. They
playboy
all try to
running
make
around.
money off it. Yeah.
No, I just mean him. Like before he was a politician, he
Mm.
probably got money and did deals in all kinds of countries.
Who, Trump?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's known that that's where he got all of his loans from, dude, was those
Mhm.
Russian.
all of them in Russia. He never got a
I
loan
don't
anywhere
want to
No,
else.
he got
say
some from
all of
China. He
them,
got
but
from
all
China
of his
too.
big risk ones, he couldn't get funding through the normal channels.
Shit, if they'll give me a loan, like what's that? Does
Don't
that
hate
mean
the
he's
player, hate
bad?
the game. I guess. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like what is
You
that?
can't be
How
mad.
does that mean that
He
he's
made
an
it
asset
move.
because he got loans there? Like that's a pretty big jump.
Yeah. I
He
mean,
wasn't getting them from banks. He was getting them from Russian oligarchs. The oligarchs are the ones that really run the country.
yeah.
I don't see a
Yeah.
problem with that either.
True that.
Is that bad or is that like are they what part of that is bad? He went to them for money, they gave him money. Like, I don't know.
Like you can't knock the hustle.
Right. Like I mean, I don't know. Like what's the problem? Like do we hate all Russian people? Like what's the thing?
Mm-mm.
Like where's the line here? Like Putin will die eventually. Then we're gonna have to have some new boogeyman. And I think a lot of countries do this on purpose. They probably get back and they go in the back room and play fucking cribbage or whatever, and they go, "Okay, who's the bad guy next week? Okay, you got him. Okay, we got you. Okay, you're next week. Who's on the card? Okay, like they like fucking globetrotters. Dun, 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 dun,
Globetrotters.
Okay, who's losing this week? All right.
It's just
How
a
many
game.
soldiers do you want to kill this week? Oh, okay, we'll just toss this at them.
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine, oh, that's where we'll have our next little war. Like all these other countries involved.
What
Ukraine
do you
just
think's
like
going
this
to
little-
happen? What do you think's going to happen with Ukraine?
I think NATO had been trying to push Russia into a war, and they really, really had wanted this for a long time. They've done many things against, like purposely to step over that line. I've seen it happen with different treaties and different things they had made with Crimea, and then they just kept pushing the button, and they want it to happen. I mean, I think Biden wanted it to happen. Like a lot of the warmongers, the Uniparty, they want it to happen. I don't know if Trump's going to be able to walk us back from a war. A lot of people say that they're going to escalate this before Trump can get in office. They're not done pushing back. There's no victory yet. Trump's not in office. There will be more assassination attempts. There will be more lawfare. There will be more anything they can do to drag their feet and to stop them. And when you say someone is worse than Hitler, that's someday we'll stop using Hitler. I don't know when. But worse, when you say someone's worse than Hitler, then you can literally justify doing anything. Period.
Yeah.
Anything.
But what do you think is going to happen with the Ukraine?
I think he's going to attempt to stop it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be possible. I don't know. Maybe he'll just pull us out of it, and it does whatever it does, and that's whatever, you know. I just think like he was the only president in my lifetime that had no new wars, started no new wars, and if he
No,
can
not
do
4 years,
anything
though.
like that, say
Wait,
again.
no, not 4 years though. He was dealing with the COVID situation.
You're right. and he didn't even really have the full 4 years. So we'll see. We'll see how he does this time. Maybe it's worse. Maybe it's better. Who knows? But like, let's just be here for it. We don't have to be angry with each other about it.
I went to Trump University.
Say again?
I went to Trump University.
You did before it got shut down. Was it real?
It wasn't real. I mean, I was disappointed because I asked a couple of jobs when I finished this business school. Do you accept it? No. That's when I realized it was like, oh, this is all the hoax,
Or like a gimmick or something?
Yeah, gimmick. Yeah.
You ever heard of Prager University?
I've heard of PragerU.
It's not a real university either. It's I guess a think tank, maybe. I don't know. I don't think I'd call it that. It's what would you call it, Kim? Like it's like a media type organization that gets different people. They have different personalities come in and do like these 5-minute videos on.
They have an agenda. They have a
I mean, Dennis Prager is very Jewish.
Yeah.
So you never know, but he seems like from what I've listened to, I don't see anything too flawed with how he talks, but there is a lot of bend with religion now. And I heard recently there's like thousands of sects of Christianity. And that's insane to think about.
Yeah.
And so that's when someone said about Christian nationalism, I'm like, well, hold on now. Like, which one?
Which one?
Like what? Like just in we'll all gonna have the cross tattoo and be part of the club. I'd be more worried about like Scientology with like big rich people that are sucked into a cult,
Amen.
Like crazy celebrities, Tom Cruise. I haven't heard anything about Scientology in a while.
Yeah.
It was Ron Hubbard,
who was it? Leah Remini came out with a bunch of stuff, and it really kind of, you don't hear much since then. Like, because she was a big time Scientologist, and then everything kind of went after that.
Yeah. As far as speaking of this, Elisa May, corruption, like the old phrase, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I see you, Perry, man. I'm sorry. Did I miss something here? Most Republicans I know don't hate Trump and everything about him. Oh, I see. Talking about I don't know though. Republicans, there's a lot of never Trumpers, so like that there is that.
I like moderates. Don't care what side. I like moderates. That means they're working straight down the middle.
Well, and that's really what people are going to disagree with me on this, but that's kind of what the MAGA movement is.
No,
people from both sides.
No, it's not. That's the American Taliban. I'm sorry.
Really? It's a majority. Like they won in a landslide. Like it's people from both sides.
Let me tell you something. Don't get all enchanted about this landslide thing. Okay, I sat there and I watched. I've been part of like election stuff. Okay, so like, and we used to run numbers. We used to do all the statistics when I was in grad school, for elections and stuff like that, for polling and whatnot. I sat there after, watching that whole thing, Biden's first debate. I didn't watch the debate, but and I knew after that debate that the Democratic Party was in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, they are not going to pull out of this spiral. This is, whatever. And so the only choice that they had was to either bring in Kamala or keep Biden in.
Or have a primary.
Yeah.
It was too late.
I kind of like
that had been discussed. It was too late to have a primary. You were too far in. Like there's just the way that voting, the way that all of that works, it was just there was not enough time for it.
Like Tea Party had their movement too, it's like Tea Party and MAGA basically the same.
Yeah, that's what I said.
The Tea Party is the MAGA. They're the ones that.
But it's grown though.
Wait a minute. Now, so I sat back and I watched this, and So Kamala comes in and she is not saying anything. She lost that election because one, Joe Biden stayed in too long. Okay. And
They
then
forced
the
him
other
out.
thing is that she was not saying anything substantive
No,
for
she wasn't
people.
talking kitchen
Because
table
I
talk.
sat there, I will never vote for Trump. I am a never Trumper. I do not like that man. I will not vote for him. So, politically, it didn't matter one way or the other, but I sat there and I listened to her, and she didn't have
Yeah,
anything
no
of
substance.
substance
No
to
substance.
say. And that scares the hell out of people.
Well, yeah, it's not. It's you don't
So
want
they
that person
didn't
running.
vote. I don't believe that people voted for him because they
They
just had a
voted
burning
against. Yeah,
desire. They
I agree
voted
with you.
for him because she,
He wasn't ready. Yeah, you
yeah.
put Michelle Obama up there, it would have been a
Oh,
wrap.
yeah. Michelle Obama.
Maybe,
Sure.
but that's the case. Is that they knew that it was a losing. They knew there wasn't much time, so they threw in a scapegoat, more or less.
They
And
picked the best option that they had, the one that they felt was going to win.
they
The
forced
most
Joe Biden
winnable.
out. Joe
Yeah, they
Biden was
did.
not did not he did
No,
not
he did
resign
not
on his
want to
own.
leave. I agree
So
with
they
you.
could have done that earlier. So you're telling me they could have done it earlier and had a primary. They did this on purpose to force somebody in so that they could use her race and they could use
I
her
disagree.
being a
I
female.
do not agree with you on that. I don't
You
agree
don't
with
think
you
they
on that.
forced her?
I believe they forced Joe Biden out. Yes.
They could have done it months before that.
Yeah, but it wasn't evident until that debate.
Until right at the
Once it
time,
became fucking evident that there were things going on upstairs with him, it was like there was no
it was
denial
so
of anything
evident before
anymore.
that. He like
No, it
all of his
really,
falling
really
and stuff
wasn't. It really,
was so
really was
bad,
not.
Kim.
They
He
should have
was
got Mitch
spry.
McConnell out
I
that motherfucker then.
100% disagree with you on
He
that.
was
I don't
spry
think
as he
people
was sharp as a
realize.
tack, right? He was sharp as a tack, they said.
No, Biden was just as sharp as Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, well, I don't like him either, for
You know,
sure.
it's just I think the older ones should just give it up. You know, like
Yeah.
let the younger generation go.
But they're the ones that are like,
Here's the thing about Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a party player. Okay, he's very, very loyal. And he was not about to step aside because he knew deep in his
No,
heart, he knew that if
can I
he stepped
interrupt?
aside, that
Wait,
he
I just gotta
was
say
the
something.
best
Look,
choice.
let me
He knew
educate
that
you
he
guys
was the
on
best
something.
choice for the
The
Democratic
presidents don't
Party.
have nothing to do with gas. Wake up.
Oh no, they don't.
sure they
So
do.
don't. I
No.
get that just gets to me like the presidents have something to do with gas. They do not have nothing to do with gas prices.
Sure they do. They have a lot to do with our economy.
Not the president have nothing to do with gas prices. They don't.
So you're telling me that when Trump has a effect on the stock market or has effect on
Now Trump had good gas prices because of the COVID and nobody was traveling.
Yeah.
That's why gas
they were
prices
good
were low.
before COVID.
Hmm?
What's up, Kilo? They were good before COVID though. So I
They're about
disagree
the
that
same price they are right now.
Right. If you're
they've
scared to
gone
pay
down.
$3 for gas, can get you another job that's gonna pay you some more money.
Gas is about
So-
$2.50 a gallon, and that's pretty much what it is right now, at least where I'm
Mhm.
at. I'm not in California. California is different. They're paying
Texas is way
$16.
different than a lot
Well,
of us.
the California's prices are that way because they tax the shit. Those are state taxes.
Yeah, they're like $4 or $5 over there a gallon.
No, it's more than that. It's closer to $6.
Really?
Yeah,
What's up, Missy?
they pay really high gas prices.
I think the president can affect gas prices just like he can affect anything else in our economy
Oligarchs.
by the way he talks, his some of the policies that he puts through. There's plenty of things that can be done even without him putting a policy through. Just from the way they talk, sometimes I'm not talking about Trump specifically, but the way that they do things affects things in the country, even if it's a superficial way. Like how predictions of the market affect the market. Like predictions of whatever this is going to do and that's going to do. People are thinking about it ahead of time, and those things affect. Like Bitcoin went skyrocketed when Trump, because they know Trump is more like susceptible to cryptocurrency or something. I forget the reason, but it was just like sentiment created this wave of Bitcoin going crazy up. Let's see. Let me send a
But
G-Load link.
for years, anytime a holiday come up, it's travel time. So that's when gas prices go up a lot.
Yeah. Well,
That's
not only
true.
that, but you have to remember too, not only were we coming out of a recession, so we went from OPEC not pumping anything, so they probably laid everybody off, didn't have any reserves pumped up because the market was flooded with oil and nobody was using it. So, you go from 0 to 5,000 when society opened back up, and it created a shortage. So we had that. But also remember too that whole thing with Russia, when Russia started its thing with the Ukraine, war machines use a lot of
A lot of
oil,
gas.
first
Yep.
of all. So they were hogging the oil for that, one. And two, because Russia invaded Ukraine, there was a boycott against Russian oil. So that took that sector of oil out of play for a lot of people. And
That should have been a moot point, though.
it didn't just affect the United States. It affected it. Europe got affected worse than that.
It's
They
some
were
people paying
more
$20
heavily
a gallon for
reliant.
gas somewhere.
Well, you know what affected the United States is when Biden shut down the Keystone
Don't say
Pipeline.
don't say that pipeline. Don't say
Why?
it
Why?
because it's not true.
It's not true that they shut
Biden
it
didn't
down.
shut it down.
Well,
Biden didn't shut it down.
under
Obama
his
did.
Obama did.
Mhm.
Trump had it going again, and then they shut it down again.
The reason I did my research on that one,
Let's look
and I
it up.
know a lot of people was opening up new shops. They was getting new fitness centers because they thought that pipeline was coming through, but that oil was from Russia, and it was affecting the water of the Indians. Mm-hmm. So it'll mess up the water of the Indians. So it had to get shut down.
Well, not only that, but the place that they were piping that oil in from, it was like a burn pit or some
The
weird
Anwar. It was a
slag pit or something
no,
like that. And
it
that
was a
company
wasteland.
And that company that did it has a really bad reputation for shoddy work that causes, their pipes leak and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
there was like a
exactly.
lot of
That's why I had to shut
concern,
it down.
because I looked at that too, because I was like, what
He
is all of this
canceled
about?
the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline. Now, there were so we can look at it like, oh, that's good, but then what we did was he went ahead and authorized the Russian pipeline, which was, I forget where, I could look it up, but there was a Russian pipeline that he authorized to go through, and so that we could buy more oil from Russia. And so if we're talking about how bad Russia is, why did they do that? Why don't we pump our own oil? Yeah, I don't have anything to defute the environmental stuff. All I remember is that pictures of the Anwar being this like wasteland where no one lives, and they
It's in
already said
Canada
that.
too. It's
Well,
not American oil. It was
It's
Canadian.
Canadian oil, yeah.
we're getting it from Alaska, though, weren't we?
No, we were getting it out of Canada.
Canada.
Then how
And that
can we be the ones
company,
to
I
stop
think,
it?
was Canadian as well. If I remember correctly what I read, I think that company that was doing the pipeline was
And the
Canadian.
population wasn't that big as well, but still,
Anwar is in Alaska.
So
Elo,
when
are you coming back?
it comes to pumping gas or pumping oil in the States, so most of those oil wells are owned by states. And the federal government, I think it runs into a states' rights thing with pumping oil out of the states. So, because I know when all of that happened here in my state, we have oil. We're pretty rich in oil here. That our governor authorized increased oil pumping or whatever, increased the flow of oil in our state to keep our gas prices stable, because we're such a poor state, and it would have like devastated the New Mexico's economy had oil prices gotten as high as they did in other places. So I have a feeling that it has something to do with states' rights when it comes to pumping oil here, the reserves. And I don't know what role the federal government plays in all that. I've never really looked at that particular aspect of things. I've never dealt with that. But there's states' rights, and the federal government cannot tread on states' rights. So I don't
they
know.
do, but we try not to.
Well, they get sued.
There was stories of them going into Texas and tearing down border fence. Government, they were using.
Yeah, because
bulldozers
that's not the border of Texas. That's the border of the United States. So yeah.
That's why they tore it down.
Well, that's where their authority comes in.
I don't know. It's the border of Texas too, though.
It's the border of the United States.
It's
Federal
not,
always
it can't be
trumps.
both.
Yeah, it is both, but it's the border of the United States.
Well, Bear Grows, come on up, man. I have it open to anybody, and that's the whole point, man. If you think you could tell us better, come on up, man.
Much love, Kings and Queens. They got to head on out.
We got to get going anyway, bro. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. We're way over time, but yeah, it's been good. Like, look, I get it. Sometimes we disagree.
We can agree to disagree, but that's what we're humans. That's why we're human beings, you know.
Yep, life goes on.
Yeah.
So if y'all haven't done so yet, hit that like button. Go check out Kim and King Neb and Red 6, and we will be back on Sunday for game night. And yeah, leave a comment. You tell us whatever you want to tell us, guys. It's all good. Remember, it doesn't matter what you like, who you voted for. We all gotta eat, and what that means we should take a little bit of responsibility back into ourselves on that, right? Like we gotta take care of ourselves, right? So, all right, we'll see you all later. Have a good weekend. Happy birthday to me tonight.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, this is for my green thumbs in the game. Wailing the indoor farmer. Check my name. Sustainability, we about to reclaim. This is how we do it, keep it in the frame. I'm wailing the farmer, the indoor king. Living off the grid, what the city can't bring. Got my hydro set up, my LED lights. Growing all my greens, all through the night. Self-sustain, that's the mission. Growing my own, I'm not missing. Indoor farming, the hustle's real. Whalers here.